Chapter 9:61. Dark clouds covered the sky as they approached. Outside of Spirited Mountain, flags formed clouds and war drums thundered. Millions of celestial soldiers and generals surrounded the Tempest Temple. Below the martial flags, there were dozens of heaven-suppressing marshals, each holding a mace and a mace. Below them, there were dozens of golden-armored celestial men, each holding a halberd, a whip, a saber, and a sword. There were the sun god, the night wandering god, the solar emperor, the lunar primordial lord, the sun god, the time god, the 108 constellations, the 4 great heavenly masters, the 28 constellations, the 9 luminary star officers, the 3 great emperors, the martial virtue star lord, the 4 saints of the North Pole, the pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li Jing, Jinja, Muza, the great god of the 3 seas, Neza, the left assistant and right assistant, the spirit, Officer Wang, the Wunshan emperor, and the various war gods. There were about 4,000 to 5,000 of them. More than half of the heavenly court's resources were used to suppress the heavens' equal demon emperor. The great heavenly venerable Jade Emperor appointed the pagoda-bearing heavenly king Li Jing's general as the commander to lead the army. Although he was appointed by the Jade Emperor, there were many emperors in the army. Li Jing did not dare to act on his own. He saw the Monkey King sitting alone on the roof of the great strength hall of the great Thunderclap Temple, commanding the army to set up a formation and surround it. He did not dare to go up and capture it. Instead, he summoned the generals to the commander's residence to discuss the key points of subduing the demon. Generals, that demon monkey is incomparably arrogant. When it saw our army coming to capture it, it didn't flee in panic. Instead, it summoned its army and set up a battle formation to deal with us. Instead, he looked on coldly from the sidelines as if nothing had happened. I'm worried that he's sly and deceitful, so I invite everyone to discuss it. As soon as Li Jing finished speaking, 3 gods of the sea stepped forward and said, "Father, are you worried that the monkey will ambush us? Let me be the vanguard and test the waters. Father will observe from the side. If the enemy situation is slightly chaotic, you can mobilize the army and seize the opportunity to destroy them in one fell swoop. Even if there is an ambush, I only brought 1 or 2 people with me. It will be easy and convenient for me to retreat. If that demon monkey comes chasing after me, I will feign defeat and leave. Father will set up an ambush and trap it in one fell swoop." Li Jing stroked his beard and pondered. Neza's words were the righteous path of the military. However, he was cautious and still could not make up his mind. The Sun Monarch on the left stepped out and said, "The Monkey King is nothing to worry about, but I'm afraid that his master, the immeasurable heavenly venerable, will interfere. The magical power of the immeasurable deity is astonishing and cannot be underestimated. This person can change the heavens and change the sun. In the past, when he raised the 2 suns, I had once fought with him to obstruct him, yet my source was easily broken through by him. He is extremely terrifying. If this person has any schemes, we have to be on guard." The first heavenly officer, Great Emperor on the right, also said, "The immeasurable heavenly lord has allowed the monkey to wreak havoc in the world in the dark. There must be a world-shaking conspiracy. If this thief is not eliminated, he will definitely be a threat to the heavenly courts. Now, we will first eliminate the demon monkeys that he controls. This person will definitely cause trouble in the dark. In the past, when he commanded the monkeys to attack the Celestial River, he once released a golden ship magic treasure. It's extremely troublesome. Today we, the 3 primes and 3 officials, are here to guard against this treasure. When the demon monkey releases the treasure, we will set up the 3 primes formation to lock this treasure in place. You can take the opportunity to kill them." This time, when the 2 suns rose, the solar sovereign was the most heavily injured, so his desire for revenge was also the fiercest. He knew that he was no match for the mastermind, the immeasurable heavenly lord, so it might not be a bad idea to vent his anger on his disciple. The solar sovereign was originally the head of the 11 luminaries and was ruled by Zi Wei. After the Jade Emperor ascended the throne, in order to suppress the Z-Way star deity and elevate the solar sovereign status. He was also conferred the title of sovereign. He ruled the 9 luminaries together with the Tyene primordial lord. Now, the 5 Chi deities, the eastern star deity of wood deity, the southern star deity of bewilderment, the western star deity of gold deity, the northern star deity of water deity, and the central star deity of earth deity, had all submitted to the Jade Emperor. Only the 4 remnant stars, Rho, K2, Z-Chi, and Yutan, still listened to Z-Way's orders. Therefore, under the secret instructions of the solar sovereign, the 9 luminary star deity had to be ruthless. Originally, the star deity lineage often swayed between Emperor Z-Way and the Jade Emperor. They were slippery and did not put in much effort. Now, they had no choice but to show their true abilities because of the solar sovereign. After Li Jing discussed with the other emperors, he sent Neza as the vanguard and the 9 luminary star lord as the middle army to test the Monkey King. As long as the Monkey King showed a slight decline, the entire army would suppress him and succeed in one fell swoop. After Neza received the order, he brought 5,000 troops and went down to challenge him. Monkey King, you demonic monkey have rebelled against the heavenly courts and called yourself the Demon Emperor. You insulted Buddha first and occupied the treasure temple of the spiritual mountain to gather the demon kings. Then you raised the 2 suns in the sky and caused a disaster. The North Star Palace has moved, and Mount Tai has tilted to the east. You claim to be a virtuous person and dare to covet the throne. You are heinous. Today, I'm here to subdue you under the Jade Emperor's decree. Quickly remove your attire and submit to the heavens, lest the animals on the mountain be killed. If you say no, I'll turn you into dust instantly. Neza flicked his hand, and a red ribbon rolled in the sea of clouds like a dragon. Under the dusk, the remaining light of the 2 suns in the sky shone on the golden glass roof of the great Lane Temple, reflecting a dark gold. The red ribbon in the sky fluttered and dyed the sky dark red. The dim red light and the golden light intertwined, making the entire Lane Temple look like a golden temple in a blazing fire. The Monkey King sat on the top of the great Lane Temple and looked up at Neza, who was glaring at him. He suddenly laughed impudently and said, "Where did this brat come from?" Instead of drinking milk in front of his mother, he came to find trouble with me. Go away, go away. I don't bully people who are still wet behind the ears. Shameless boasting, Neza said angrily. The demonic monkey is rebellious and dares to be rude. Eat my spear. He stepped on the golden wheels barefoot. The golden wheels were like 2 blazing suns, burning with golden flames, supporting Neza's 6-foot-tall body. Neza kicked with his right leg, and a golden flame shot towards the Monkey King's head. As the 2 wheels rotated, the sound of wind and fire raged. The Monkey King narrowed his eyes and looked straight at the wind-fire divine wheels. In the eyes of the immortals and gods, the wind-fire wheels were the supreme treasures of the immortals. They were accompanied by the wind and fire chi, the connate wind and fire. The fire moved with the wind, and the wind aided the fire, causing the golden flames of the golden wheels to only have the power of the true fire of the sun. However, in the eyes of the Monkey King, the pair of wind-fire wheels were on the same principle as the sun in the sky. In an ordinary galaxy, the core temperature of the sun was about 20 million Kelvin, and a star with a higher mass could reach 9 billion Kelvin. In the 3 realms, because the Grand Pure One had changed the universe constant during the creation of the 3 realms, the core temperature of the sun was as high as 10 billion Kelvin. In the wind-fire wheels, the connate wind and fire chi was nothing more than imitating the movement of matter at the beginning of the universe's creation, when the dimensions were unfolded and the primordial world was created. At that time, the existence and movement of matter formed a relatively high-energy state. It was something that the stability of the universe could not achieve. It was called connate matter and connate vitality. The wind-fire wheels imitated the special environment of the 3 realms when the universe was created. With the rapid rotation of the 2 wheels, the connate high-energy matter in the wheels reached a stable state. The basic principle was to simulate the special environment of the creation of the world through high-speed movement. It was just like how the black hole in the galaxy retained a portion of the environment of the Big Bang. Therefore, the extreme temperature of the wind-fire wheels could be close to the extreme temperature of the three realms. This temperature was known as the Planck temperature in the Earth's universe. It was about 1.16833 85 times 10 to the 32 Kelvin. According to Monkey King's calculations, the extreme temperature of the three realms, which was also the limit allowed by the Khanate Great Tao of Fire, was about 3 million times that value. However, the environment that the wind-fire wheels provided to the Khanate high-energy matter was far lower than the upper limit when the Grand Pure One created the world. It could only reach the lower limit when the world was created every yuanhui. After the Monkey King's quantum essence soul calculated the mathematical model and related formulas for the Khanate wind-fire wheels to rotate and stabilize, the wheel that tore through the sky no longer had any secrets in front of him. Under the bright gazes of the immortals and gods, Monkey King only opened his hands and grabbed forward. He faced the wind-fire wheels that were spinning tens of billions of times in an instant and grabbed them in his hands. The wind-fire wheels struggled, but Monkey King only used a little force and cracks appeared on the golden flame wheels. With another force, the golden wheel broke into two and was casually thrown by Monkey King under his feet. He smiled cheekily and pointed at Neza. "Little brat, is this something that your family uses to play with children? Don't identify it everywhere. Otherwise, your father will spank you later." Chapter 962. The two of them had yet to fight, but pagoda-bearing Heavenly King Li had already revealed a hint of worry. How could the immortals not be shocked? The immortals hurriedly comforted. Even if that monkey has mystical abilities, he might not be a match for the third prince's 3 heads and 8 arms, many Dharma treasures, and 72 transformations. Li Jing sighed and said, "That demon monkey's mystical abilities are not limited to that. In the past, he entered the Heavenly River and defeated the East Mountain Prefect. How can his mystical abilities be limited to today? However, I heard that his Dharma powers are improving day by day. I'm afraid he is no longer comparable to the past." The Sun Emperor smiled and said, "Heavenly King, don't panic. I've already ordered the 9 Brilliant Star Lord to control the array from the side. If that demon monkey is ferocious and difficult to control, let them swarm him. How many hands does that demon monkey have? How can he withstand the siege?" Only then did Li Jing put down his guard and watch the battle attentively. After Neza lost a wind-fire wheel, his expression became even more solemn. However, he had already treated the great emperor's equal, who had made a name for himself today, as a great enemy that he had never had in his life. He shook his body, and the red scarf rolled. The sea of clouds churned, and 2 heads suddenly grew from both sides of Neza's neck. He faced 3 directions and waved his hand, turning it into 8 arms. One of his hands held the red scarf and swept up the wind and clouds in the sky. In an instant, the world changed colors, and the universe moved. The clouds stopped by the millions of heavenly soldiers in the surroundings seemed to be tumbling. The clouds under the feet of the immortals and gods who were watching from the side became unstable. The 28 lunar mansions swayed left and right and lost their footing. The huge and strict, inescapable net array was actually stirred to the point where the corners of the array were unstable. The power of the red heavenly sash had the power to overturn rivers and seas. With Neza as the center, a huge hurricane that could overturn Ling Shandell was forming. When the immortals watching the array saw Neza getting serious and the power of the heavenly silk of chaos stirring the world, they all revealed looks of joy. The Sun Emperor hurriedly said, "Where are the Wind Goddess and Rain Master? Where are the 4 Sea Dragon Kings? Cloud-pushing child Buwu Langjun, activate your divine power and lend a hand to the 3 altars of the sea." The God of Thunder's avatar had been killed by the Monkey King in the past, and his true vitality had yet to recover. However, seeing that the Monkey King was surrounded by the army, how could he still hold himself back? He was the first to stand out, holding a zither in his left hand and a hammer in his right, striking the heavenly drum. The heavenly thunder rumbled as Electro-Lady raised the golden mirror in her hand. In an instant, lightning danced wildly and silver snakes wreaked havoc. The 36 thunder gods of the Thunder Division exerted their strength in unison. Countless silver flood dragons with heads and tails raged down from the sky. Monkey King raised his head and saw countless heavenly winds coming from all directions, converging into the hurricanes stirred up by Nez's red armillary sash. In the sky, the Thunder Generals and Thunder Gods of the Thunder Division unleashed their full power. The Wind Mistress and the Rain Mistress made a ruckus. Under the influence of the heaven and earth, the entire Spirited Mountain seemed to have suffered from 3 disasters. Fortunately, the Great Lane Temple of Spirited Mountain was the place where the Buddha resided in the world. It was unbelievable that it could remain unmoved in the face of such an unprecedented natural disaster. If it were an ordinary mountain or river, its foundation would have been blown away by the wind, the earth veins would have been broken by the lightning, and the heaven and earth would have been reversed, returning to the primordial era. Even so, the great Meru Mountain of the Spirited Mountains, Sagely Mountain, was scraped by the heavenly winds, and the land around the Great Lane Temple seemed to have been plowed by the heavenly thunder. The surface of the Spirited Mountain, which was as hard as diamond, was flipped over. The deities were delighted, and the Thunder Gods said proudly, "If you ask me, I think Heavenly King is worrying too much. Although that demon monkey is ferocious, he was the one who took advantage of the loophole last time. My colleagues of the Thunder Division didn't make a move. Now that he dares to rebel against the heavens, almost all the resources of the celestial court of the 3 realms and 6 paths have been mobilized. How can we tolerate his ferocity? I don't think Third Prince needs to make a move. He won't be able to hold on much longer." After saying that, the Thunder God cupped his fists at the 36 Thunder Generals, 36 Thunder Gods, 24 Heavenly Monarchs, and 5 Thunder Envoys of the Thunder Division. The Thunder Deity Jade Manor, 5 Thunder Yard, and Exorcism Yard were mobilized. The Thunder Deity Department, the Thunder City Department, the Thunder Division, and the 3 divisions of the Thunder Division were all mobilized. The Thunder Division occupied almost one side of the huge heavenly army formation, while the 8 divisions of the heavenly court surrounded the Monkey King from all directions. The Thunder God shouted, "My colleagues, lend me a hand and subdue that demon monkey." Other than the 9 heavens responding thunder, the universal heavenly Lord had yet to arrive. Almost all the righteous and partial deities of the Thunder Division were here. Their response was like thunder, and they attacked together, almost recreating the scene when the heavens and earth were split apart, when Yu Qing turned into Pangu and used the Du Tian divine thunder to create the primordial world. Facing the raging lightning that almost struck the heaven and earth back into the primordial world, the Monkey King raised his head and smiled lightly. His golden fur danced wildly in the wind, but the expression on the Thunder God's face was like iron, not moving at all. The deities in the sky could even see a hint of disdain on his face. He looked at Neza, who was opposite him in the sky, whose red armband had dyed half the sky red, and pointed at the deities behind Neza who were stirring up the wind and thunder. Then he pointed at them. "All of you line up in front of the formation, as if you're selling soul." Facing the sky, the Monkey King laughed. "Master, if this is what you want to see, then I'll do it for you. You said that I was born to be arrogant and unruly, and that I can't be a subject of the Jade Emperor. You once joked with me, asking me to crush the numinous Sky Palace and overturn the 3 realms and 6 Tao. Then, I'll do it." The Monkey King closed his eyes as he faced the silver flood dragon that danced wildly towards him. Finally, he sighed with an almost inaudible voice, "Why force me?" The silver flood dragon danced wildly and appeared in front of the Monkey King in the blink of an eye. At that moment, the 6-feet-tall monkey opened his eyes again. At that moment, the celestial soldiers and generals in the sky seemed to see a giant that could support the heavens and the earth. The monkey swung his arm forward, and a huge gravitational force distorted, instantly tearing apart the divine lightning that filled the sky. Countless broken lightning bolts were forged into sharp blades, landing on the Monkey King's body. A large amount of dark red lava that looked like fresh blood burned on the Monkey King's body, and as the lightning bolts tempered it, it slowly solidified and took shape. On the head of the 6 feet-tall monkey, standing on the top of the great Lane Temple, 2 strands of phoenix wings were inserted into the purple gold crown, and they hung behind the Monkey King, almost touching the ground. He wore a gold-plated golden armor, and he was wearing a pair of cloud-walking shoes made of lotus root silk. A bright red cape fluttered behind him. On the top of the great Lane Temple, the Monkey King put on the armor given by Chunong and looked down at the deities. It looked a little funny, but none of the holy Buddhas in the sky dared to laugh. That was because the star, stabilizing God precious metal in his hand, was pointing at the deities. With just one strike, the hurricane was torn apart, the wind and clouds were swept away, the deities were shocked, and the lightning bolts were swept away. Wherever the strike went, a huge force shattered the vacuum, and anything that dared to stop it was crushed into pieces. Neza was horrified, and he had no choice but to use his wind fire wheels to retreat. He retreated to the heavenly soldiers of the Thunder Division behind him and the gods of thunder behind him. He retreated 50,000 miles in an instant, leaving behind the heavenly soldiers, generals, and gods of the Thunder Division, who were all turned into ashes by this strike. The deities who were smiling just a moment ago were instantly killed, and the inescapable net that was lying in ambush from all directions was also wiped out in an instant. Only the Monkey King was left to face the presumptuous laughter from the other side. You guys are bragging here, but have you ever thought about asking me if these small fries are worthy of my attention? The Monkey King looked at the Thunder Division in front of him, which had been turned into ashes, and reached out his hand to point at them. He said lazily, "Little deity Liar, not interesting." Wukong paused for a moment, and his eyes suddenly turned sharp. With a casual and calm attitude, he slowly said to Neza, Spirit Official Wong, and the divine generals in the sky, "All of you, come at me together. I, old son, am in a hurry. I wonder how many of you here can take a strike from me." He casually weighed the metal rod in his hand, and the deities and Buddhas in the sky immediately fell silent. The face of pagoda-bearing heavenly King Li, who was in the middle of the army, had turned as dark as a sheet of paper. His lips were slightly trembling, and he looked at the fearless monkey below him. For a moment, he forgot how to speak, and he only knew how to repeat, "How could this be? How could this be? How could there be such a demonic monkey?" The expression of the Sun Emperor, who was beside him, was not any better than his. The rest of the celestial soldiers and generals who were lying in ambush on all 7 sides were panicking. The inescapable net that was supposed to be a great army suddenly turned into dust. The face of Neza, who was the only one who escaped the remaining power of the Monkey King's rod, was also pale. He heard the Monkey King's challenge to all the immortal generals, but he couldn't find a reason to reject it. Everything that had happened in front of him was too shocking. It should be known that the difference between the lineage that Chunong had learned was immeasurable. Although the method used was slightly inferior, the magnitude of the difference was astronomical. As long as the standard was slightly higher, the difference would be like heaven and earth. It was the same nuclear fusion, but a hydrogen bomb could only wipe out an entire city, but a star could vaporize several planets with just an instant of energy. Even though a deity had been cultivating for thousands of years, a monkey had only been cultivating for a few decades. Chapter 963. As the Monkey King slaughtered the Thunder Division's celestial gods, 9 luminaries, who was hiding at the side, had a slight change in expression. Seeing that the Monkey King was about to charge forward with the pacifying star treasure medal, Tai Bai Jinxing, the celestial lord of gold luminaries who had spoken to him, quickly showed himself and shouted, "Great Emperor, how could you kill the people of the Thunder Division? You made a huge mistake." "How did I make a huge mistake?" The Monkey King asked with a smile when he saw Tai Bai Jinxing, a familiar old man. Although he was smiling, his hands did not stop. He pushed the purple phoenix crown on his head, and the quantum divine light of the indefinite two realms auspicious cloud formed by his Yuan Shun rose from the back of his head. As the auspicious cloud covered his head, the Monkey King's existence immediately collapsed into the quantum probability cloud state, and he was everywhere in the three realms. When he once again collapsed into his physical form, he was already among the 28 lunar mansions surrounded by the celestial soldiers and generals. With a casual swing of his staff, it was as if an infinite gravitational force was collapsing at the center of the staff. There was a name for this move, and it was taught by Chenong. The name was simple and plain, called gravitational collapse. It referred to the phenomenon of matter gathering towards the core when the repulsive force between the celestial bodies in the universe outside the three realms was not enough to resist the gravitational force. When Chenong was a sword celestial, he still paid particular attention to the accumulation of sword wool when controlling a flying sword. Later on, when he taught the Monkey King the staff technique, he did not mention any philosophical principles or exquisite theories. He only taught the various universes, the operation of a universe, the movement of celestial bodies, the collapse of supernovae, the birth of black holes, the Big Bang, the opening of the primordial world, the integration of information, and other phenomena. Therefore, the Monkey King staff technique did not have any artistic conception or profound meaning. It only had the most objective, most real, and most emotionless power and principles. This strike relied on the neutron star dense matter that Chun Ong had smashed down with the stationary star god metal. It relied on the gravitational, self-binding system of the superdegenerate state, using the most naked material foundation to pry open the most objective laws of the universe's mechanics. However, Golden Dragon Kong, who was facing this staff, was in despair. His golden horn was invincible, and he was known as the Dragon King. Since the beginning of the world, he was one of the few great supernatural powers among the 28 constellations. He was the god of wind, and he could summon wind and clouds for 3,000 miles. He had fire beads, and it was as if he was swallowing the sun into his throat. However, in the face of this most overbearing and simple power and reason, he actually had no way to deal with it. He watched as his body involuntarily collided with the iron rod, and the rod became bigger and bigger. It was like the 5 mountains of Mount Tai added together, but the space scale of the two was changing. Golden Dragon Kong could only scream in despair, escape his primordial spirit, and escape outside. As expected, his physical body collided with the stationary star god metal. The indestructible golden horn did not even last for a breath before it was completely shattered along with the vacuum, collapsing into the gravitational anomaly and fusing with the stationary star god metal. The 28 constellation gods and the others only needed a sweep of his staff to allow them to be crushed by the extreme gravitational collapse and vacuum. Occasionally, a few primordial spirits would escape, but Wukong didn't even look at them. With a shake of his staff, the surrounding space collapsed and shattered in the dimensions, sending the group of primordial spirits into the seamless space. Occasionally, a sliver of a lucky constellation's primordial spirit managed to escape. They would not be able to recover without recuperating for hundreds or thousands of years, so the Monkey King ignored them. The 9 brilliant Star Lords were dumbfounded. Although they had heard that the Emperor's equal was powerful and had a rather wild and violent personality, they never thought he would be so lawless. When the Thunder Department was destroyed with a single strike of the rod, they still thought that the Heavenly Court would not fall. Only now did they truly understand that the Monkey King did not care about the Heavenly Court's dignity as it ruled over the 3 worlds for thousands of years. The Monkey King only treated them like grass, not taking them seriously at all. When the fiendish demons rebelled, they probably feared the Heavenly Court slightly. When had they ever seen someone as cruel as the Monkey King? Tai Bai Jinxing tried to persuade him again, Emperor's equal, don't be so reckless. If you stop now, you can still explain yourself. I can still deal with the matter of the Thunder Department, but if you continue killing, there might not be a place for you in the 3 worlds and 6 paths. The heavenly court has ruled over the three worlds for thousands of years. How many heroes and fiendish demons have there been? However, they have never shaken the heavenly court's dignity. How strict are the laws of heaven? Emperor, please think twice. Among the immortals, even though there are a few good-for-nothings among them, there are hundreds of generations of venerable emperors and thousands of lords of heaven. There are countless immortals of different grades and ranks, and there are more than 10 people like your master. Dumu, Donghua, Hutu, Taiyuan, 3 pure ones, and 4 emperors, and 5 elders of the 5 directions. You single-handedly withstood the wrath of so many venerable emperors, the power of great heavenly Lord Jade Emperor, and even Tathagata Buddha. How much do you know about the ancient Gonggong Xingtian? Please stop. In the future, when the Grand Heavenly Venerate gets angry, I'm afraid there will be things that I can't bear to say. The incident at the Western Heaven Spirit Mountain was caused by a Sanskrit demon bewitching Skyless. The saying that there are 2 suns in the sky was created by your master. If Emperor is willing to stop the war, I am willing to guarantee with my life that I will prove Emperor's strength in front of the great Heavenly Lord. Monkey King laughed and said, "You old man, why didn't you say it earlier or later? Why are you saying this now? What's the use of saying this now?" Tai Bai Jinxing wanted to persuade him again, but a golden-armored deity appeared from the group of heavenly generals. He pointed at Monkey King's nose and scolded, "How dare you rebel against the heavens and kill the generals of the heavenly court? His Majesty ordered us to capture you, but you didn't surrender. How dare you resist with weapons? You killed hundreds of immortals and millions of heavenly soldiers. How can we spare you? Even if you are a disciple of the 3 pure ones, you will have to pay with your life in front of Buddha, who is your master, the immeasurable heavenly Lord." Monkey King could still listen to his nonsense at first, but when he heard the last part, he was immediately enraged. He did not wait for the mighty miracle god to say anything else. He swung his rod and smashed him into meat paste. Then he swept his rod and killed more than half of the 36 heavenly generals, Guan Mawen and the other marshals. How could the heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals accept their fate and die under the metal rod? Each and every one of them unleashed all of their abilities, including their trump cards and Dharma spells. However, the Monkey King's current strength had long surpassed everything. There were only 6 to 7 people in the 3 realms. Such small fries naturally could not withstand a blow from the Monkey King. By the time he killed for a while, there were already mountains of corpses and seas of blood behind him. Not a single one was left alive. On the other side, Li Jing cursed the mighty miracle god for being crazy to provoke such a ferocious god. At the same time, he gestured for Tai Bai Jinxing to continue persuading and appeasing him. He had already made up his mind to recruit him. The matter regarding the 28 constellations of the Thunder Division could be mentioned in the future. After killing another ambush, the Monkey King only stomped his feet. Immediately, a ray of red light swept up and landed in another group. Not long after, they were all killed by the Monkey King. In the 500 tribulations of the heavenly courts, there were not as many gods who died as today. The last time this happened was when the Xingtian attacked. That was already before the 1,000 tribulations. Chapter 964. The entire punitive army of the heavenly court was startled by Wukong. In just a few seconds, at least hundreds of celestial generals and celestial lords who came to the punitive expedition rushed forward. All of them were famous immortals, but they were all broken by Wukong's staff. After the Monkey King killed his way through the 3 formations, he was already in high spirits. He was reborn from the stone of an immortal and had the appearance of an ape. From this, it could be seen that he wasn't an honest person. His nature was jumpy and restless. This was the heart monkey. Now that the heart monkey was restless, how could this bunch of shrimp soldiers and crab generals subdue its heart? At the end of the day, it was because Chun Ong had fed this heart monkey too much. Now, who could use the band-tightening curse to restrain the heart monkey? Who could use their 5 fingers to subdue its heart? who could use the tribulations of water and fire to trap its nature, who could use the tribulations of 3 calamities and 5 tribulations to make it fear. When Shenong came back to his senses, he was also surprised that he had nurtured this monkey to be too strong and healthy. Right now, the monkey's abilities were more than 100 times stronger than before. When it was lawless, it really had a tinge of invincibility. Who knew what kind of thoughts he had to nurture this heart monkey into an indomitable and unshakable determination? This was also the first time in his life that the Monkey King displayed his abilities without any reservations. Facing billions of heavenly soldiers and thousands of generals, there was no need for him to fight with his wits and courage. Instead, he used his intelligence to fight against the enemies. He only needed to press forward with an indomitable will. He didn't need to have any reservations. He never believed that among this bunch of useless chickens and dogs, there would be someone who could take a hit from his cudgel. Originally, I, old son, didn't want to bully weaklings like you. My golden cudgel should be brandished at the strong. Goku looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. But if I crush you like bugs, why does it make me, old son, feel so good that I can't help it? After Goku killed many people, his mood gradually became full, just like a mortal who had drunk to his heart's content and had a drunken recklessness. So many enemies, powerful but unable to withstand a single blow, called immortals and saints, but mediocre, so powerful but so weak, just like a feudal dynasty that was flourishing on the surface but had already decayed on the inside. Only when Wukong faced the Celestial Court did he realize that the Celestial Court was already a huge but useless giant with feet of mud. Just like the Master, those celestial kingdoms that looked strong and prosperous on the surface, but could not withstand a single blow. It was actually so easy to kill them. They were obviously immortals with powerful magic power and remarkable abilities, but in the battle, they could not withstand a single blow. Those immortals and Buddhas were all high and mighty, living like princes and princesses. They had cultivated powerful magic power and mastered many powerful skills. However, those immortals who had become officials and lived in the system of the heaven had long forgotten the true meaning of struggle and struggle. Therefore, they were not even as energetic as those demons and devils who struggled in the grass. At least, when facing the demons that Wukong was slaughtering, they could still use all of their abilities, and even use all of their abilities at the last moment. However, even if those immortals and Buddhas had magical powers that were 100 times stronger than those demons, when facing Wukong, they could not use even 1 or 2 of their abilities. Often, they would be defeated by Wukong's staff before they could even use their trump cards. After all, these domestic deities were not as good at fighting as wild ones. Not to mention that the Monkey King was a fighting monkey among monkeys who were raised scientifically and trained meticulously. Who could still remember the 28 constellations that were killed by the Monkey King with 1 strike? The Hornwood Dragon, the Kongol Dragon, the Water Leopard of Winnowing Basket, the Kuei Wood Wolf, and the Pleiades Sun Rooster. Each of them had a powerful innate magic. However, when facing the extremely violent strike, they were still smashed into pieces and had no power to fight back. If they could use their most powerful magic, although they couldn't defeat the Monkey King, they could at least cause some trouble for him. So, it's you bunch of useless and mediocre people. You made me unhappy since a long time ago. Killing people like you who are strong but can't make a decision is so satisfying. So satisfying. It's just like when I was still a stone monkey and ate a peach that was frozen in the cold water of a deep pool in the 6 hottest days of the year. You guys have cultivated for tens of thousands of years the profound truth of the gods, the principles of the heavenly Tao that you comprehended, the magic that you learned, the majesty of ruling over all living beings in the 3 realms, the immortality, the freedom, and the noble status that is higher than the mortals. Aren't all of these useless in the face of my strike? The heavenly court is indeed rotten. I, old son, will eventually fight against the heavens and earth. From the southern heavenly gate to the 3 islands of Punglai, Then from the 3 islands of Penglai to the Lingxiao King Palace, I will kill all you deities and make your blood flow like a river. I, old son, can't even blink to fulfill the joke I told my master in the past. Until the heavens and earth change, I will kill until the heavenly court collapses and the 3 realms loses its light. When a Monkey King attacked, Neza still had some confidence. Although it was a bit embarrassing for him to retreat without fighting, there were dozens of deities with magic power like him here, so he wasn't afraid of the monkey. Who would have thought that those deities with magic power that was not inferior to his would be so weak? In the face of Yukong's strike, he could still retreat unscathed and watch quietly from the side. Those immortals could not even save their lives. In Neza's eyes, they were all flustered and looked mediocre. After listening to Yukong's words, he actually agreed with him from the bottom of his heart. The immortals and gods of the heavenly court were really a disgrace to the immortals. Not to mention a natural god of war like Yukong. Even if they were to face some powerful demons, they would probably be defeated. He thought to himself, these star lords and deities are very mediocre, and those heavenly generals and divine generals who are slightly more powerful have weak magic power. In my opinion, there are only 3 to 5 people in the heavenly court who can defeat the Monkey King. Only those who often slay demons and have extraordinary magic power have a chance. In this case, I can only invite 2 people. One is the ancestor of the north, the Zhenwu devil-rinsing emperor, and the other is my brother, Erlang Xiansheng. I have to invite them to come out as soon as possible to stop this defeat, lest that fierce god kills all the deities of the heavenly court. With this thought in mind, Neza's primordial spirit flew out and split into 2. One went to the North Pole Palace, and the other went to the Guan River estuary of the Nanzhan section continent. He and Yang Ji were sworn brothers, so they had a deep relationship. He didn't have to worry about not being able to invite the Jade Emperor's nephew, who was out of tune. When a Monkey King's strike was blocked, his interest was piqued. He asked the golden-armored deity who had blocked his strike, "Who are you? To be able to block my strike, you're a real man. I'm interested to know your name." Those who had died under Yukong's staff, such as the South Dipper, the North Dipper, the 8 immortal generals, the 36 heavenly generals, the fighting division, the play division, and the 28 lunar mansions, if they heard this, they would definitely die with grievances. It turned out that except for some immortals with obvious appearances and characteristics, Yukong was not even interested in knowing the names of the rest of the people. They didn't even deserve to be reduced to the status of the Monkey King. The golden-armored deity was enraged. I'm the innate general, the one-chi immortal, the great spirit officer of punishment, the selfless general of the 3 realms. I have golden eyes and red hair, and I'm known as the 3-5 trained thunder god. I have a phoenix mouth and silver teeth, and I command millions of troops. I'm the Pishio general, and I'm the first general of the innate general, Qixing protector of the 3-5 train king. You, forget it, the Monkey King said lazily. You're not worthy of me remembering so many words. I'll just remember Spirit Officer Wang. Suddenly, Yukong seemed to have thought of something. He raised his spirit and said, "The Taoist master saw that I killed just now. Could he be your master? You're a good disciple, but not your teacher." I hit his head with my rod, and he didn't even react. Soft feet, very soft feet. Spirit Officer Wang was enraged, and he charged forward. But in just 2 rounds, he was also killed by the Monkey King with 1 strike. The Monkey King sighed. "I thought you were a capable person. Turns out you're just SOSO. Then he decided to forget about Spirit Officer Wang's name and throw this matter to the back of his mind. Spirit Officer Wang was the first guardian deity. He usually resided in the Spirit Officer Hall under the Lingxiao Golden Palace. He was the guardian deity of the Jade, Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor. He was powerful and had extraordinary martial arts skills. Yukong was not clear about it, but the emperors could see it clearly. Fear rose in their hearts, and the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King hesitated. He thought, Spirit Officer Wang's magic power and divine arts are not inferior to mine. If he can't even withstand a few moves from that fierce god, what can I do? Just now, Najia told me to invite Great Emperor Zhenwu and true Lord Xiansheng? Or should I wait for them to arrive before I fight with the Monkey King? Chapter 965. I didn't expect that even the Bull Demon King couldn't defeat the ghost chariot, nine-headed phoenix, and was captured. The butcher twisted the wet clothes on his body and sighed. Beside him, the old Taoist Qing Chan sighed and said, "If not, how could we still be alive?" Then, he turned to look at his companions beside him and couldn't help but shake his head. There were many of us when we came. Now that we've been in the ancient times for a few days, there are only a few of us left. There were many dangers in the ancient times. How many of our companions died? Chenong raised his head and looked around. Suddenly, he said, "Do you know where this is? We were scared out of our wits by the ghost chariot, nine-headed phoenix. We didn't even know the direction and only care about escaping. We're lucky that we're still together. How can we still recognize the road, and where is this place?" The old Taoist Qing Chen shaded his eyes with his hand and looked closer. "There seems to be a temple in front. Why don't we go and ask for directions?" The others looked over and only saw shadows in front of them. There seemed to be a little light illuminating the pitch-black mountain road. Through the light, they could faintly see a small temple. The butcher shuddered and said, "There's no village ahead or shop behind. It's really strange that there's such a small temple in the wilderness. Haven't we seen enough dangers and strange things along the way? The ancient times are very strange. According to your speculations, now that the netherworld is in chaos and the netherworld has collapsed, it's best to stay away from this kind of temple in the wilderness." Then he walked in the opposite direction. It seemed like he wanted to find a random cave to rest in. The others looked at each other. Although they felt that the butcher's words made sense, they heard Chun-Ong say with a smile, "Let's go. If it's a blessing, it's not a curse. If it's a curse, we can't avoid it. How many strange things have we seen along the way? Do you think you can escape?" Finished speaking, he took the lead and walked straight toward the small temple. The others were about to learn from the butcher and find a place to hide when they heard a scream from afar. From the sound, it was clearly the butcher who had left alone. They looked at each other. Qing Chen sighed and said, "What else can we do?" They could only follow Chun-Ong and carefully approach the small temple. On the pitch-black mountain road, heaven and earth were silent. Only a little light in the distance flickered with a warm yellow light. The surroundings were silent, and the scene was extremely strange. When they got closer, they saw that the small temple was simple and unadorned. There was only a narrow main hall, about the size of a pigsty. 6 or 7 people went in, and it felt crowded. A clay Buddha statue was enshrined on the column. Its face was blurry, and its body was mottled with colors. However, the inscribed board in front of the temple was shockingly big. The inscribed board read, "Tempest Temple." When they saw the 4 words Tempest Temple, the group of transmigrators immediately felt as though a great disaster was about to befall them. Their legs turned to jelly. The 4 words were ugly and vulgar, but these transmigrators had seen 2 generations of the Tempest Temple. Whether it was the Tempest Temple that was in ruins in the future, or the Tempest Temple when the Buddha's golden body was still around, they were fortunate enough to have seen them. How could they not recognize that while the words were ugly, they were exactly the same as the inscribed board in front of the real Tempest Temple? Another esteemed guest has arrived. The few transmigrators had just reached the mountain gate when they heard someone laughing and speaking from inside the temple. Then they saw the door of the small temple creak as it was pulled open by someone. It turned out to be a kind-looking old monk who smiled at them and said, "It's rare for a small temple on a barren mountain to have guests. Benefactors, would you like to enter the temple to rest in this barren mountain?" The scene was too bizarre. Even though the transmigrators had seen Feng Guohai along the way, they did not know how to respond. Someone inside the temple spoke again. "Almsgivers, please don't blame us. The 4 of us can't walk out of this small temple, so we can't make room for you. We'll have to trouble you to squeeze in." Through the door, the transmigrators saw that the interior of the temple was indeed very narrow. There were 3 other old monks sitting inside. They looked peaceful and kind, making them easy to guard against. At that moment, Hui Shan, a Buddhist disciple, spoke up, "I'm Hui Shan. Greetings, senior brothers. May I know what your Dharma names are? Where's this place? We're in the middle of nowhere, and we ran into a monster. We were in a hurry and didn't know the way. The old monk who opened the door smiled. Greetings, junior brother Huishan. This is the dreamlike ridge of the barren mountain. This small temple can be called the Temple of the Heart. I'm a disciple of Patriarch Sakyamuni. My Dharma name is Samanabhadra. Manjushri. My Dharma name is Ksitigarbha. Dharma name is Merciful Voyage. The other three old monks returned the greeting. When Monk Huishan heard their Dharma names, his expression changed immediately. He said sternly, "Where did you demons come from? How dare you impersonate the Dharma names of Buddha and Bodhisattva? How would a proper monk dare to use such Dharma names? Tell me, what kind of demons are you? What do you want?" The old monk who guarded the door still invited them in. He smiled. "Little monk, why are you so surprised? I'm Samantabhadra Bodhisattva of Mount Lingshan. Now I'm trapped in the Heart Temple by demons. The fact that you can see me shows that you are a fated person. How can you not see through the barrier of knowledge?" Huishan didn't dare to believe it. He didn't care if he scolded him sternly. He only retorted, "There are demons that can trap 4 bodhisattvas. Don't try to lie to me." Samantabhadra Bodhisattva said calmly, "A few months ago, I had a bet with the immeasurable Heavenly Lord. However, the immeasurable Heavenly Lord sacrificed one of his bodies and turned into a demon. It attracted the demon from beyond the heavens, Brahman. Brahman is the supreme intelligence that transcends all forms. It's rooted in the emptiness of the 3 realms. Its mana is boundless, and its divine power is unimaginable. It wants to turn the 3 realms into his one thought and one dream. That Brahman is far away in the emptiness of the 3 realms. He's beyond the anaphasic heavens. He only has one dream body in the world, and it's called Brahman. The emptiness of the 3 realms is like the root of a tree, the source of a clear spring. It's the root of all forms in the 3 realms. If he dreams the universe there, the entire 3 realms will collapse. My Buddha had no choice but to enter the anaphasic heavens to fight against Brahman. We also joined forces to fight against Brahman's change in form, the dream body incarnation, Brahman. That Brahman is really powerful. Using the connection between my Buddha and the world, he forcefully tainted my Buddha's golden body, turning it into a corpse and gaining sentience. He even harmed medicine, glazed Buddha, and sunlight and moonlight Bodhisattva, causing them to be trapped by Brahman. After that, we schemed with great heavenly venerable Jade Emperor and asked heaven equal demon emperor to get rid of that demon corpse. My Buddha's golden body was destroyed, and my primordial spirit had nothing to rely on. Gradually, I lost to Brahman and was trapped in the anaphasic heavens. The 3 realms were tainted by the devil, and the first to be in trouble was the netherworld. The netherworld changed, and the souls of all living beings in the world were tainted by Brahman. Gradually, the 3 souls and 6 spirits formed their own sentience. Or rather, the souls of all living beings in the 3 realms. Because of the change in the netherworld, the 3 realms were merging. Whether they were alive or dead, they were all turning into ghosts. The 2 souls of heaven and earth were outside, and there were all sorts of changes. They turned into malicious ghosts, and the 7 spirits were restless within. They were tainted by the devil, and the consciousness of all living beings became the consciousness in Brahman's one dream. Only the life soul still carried the original self, but it is also in danger. The 3 realms are in such a dangerous situation. Only by finding that bit of support between Buddha and the world, which is the reincarnated spirit child, can we receive Buddha's primordial spirit and save the 3 realms. Old monk C.I. Heng said from the side, "We fought with Brahman, and he trapped us here. This is a world created by Brahman, the Brahman demon dream. That is why it is called the Great Barren Mountain Dreamlike Ridge. Buddha's primordial spirit is in the Brahman demon dream, forming this heart temple to protect us from being tainted by Brahman. But our incarnations in the 3 realms have become living beings in the Brahman demon dream, and our true bodies are trapped here. That is why we want to invite Thor and the others to return to the three realms to find the youth with the swastika symbol on his back. That is our Buddha's reincarnated spirit child. Bring him to see great heavenly venerable Jade Emperor. He has a way to let Buddha return and fight against Brahman. After old monk C.I. Heng said this, he plucked out an eye from his right palm and placed it on Hui Shan's palm. It turned into a streak of golden light and entered Hui Shan's hand. He instructed, "We will enter meditation here, and we will receive enlightenment from Buddha. The way to fight against Brahman and save the three realms is in your hand. Bring it to great heavenly venerable Jade Emperor. You must not fall into the hands of the demons." When Hui Shan heard this, he didn't know if it was true or not. Just when he was at a loss, Samantabhadра's expression suddenly changed, and he said to him, "Brahman has already dreamed of all of you. We can't stay here any longer. Leave quickly." After saying this, he revealed his golden body, and the simple temple also turned into a majestic Pure Land. It was the Great Thunderclap Temple. Chapter 966. After those travelers left, the small temple regained its tranquility and loneliness. The old monk who was transformed from Samantabhadra Bodhisattva was silent for a long time. He put his palms together and sat facing the clay Buddha. The whole temple was as quiet as the dead. Suddenly, Samantabhadra Bodhisattva said, "Senior brother Guanyin, why did you call yourself Sihong when we announced our names?" Daoist C.I. Hang smiled and said, "Because I'm just Daoist C.I. Hang, not Guanyin Bodhisattva." Daoist C.I. Hang? Samantabhadra Bodhisattva's face turned cold, and he sighed. "So, it's the incarnation of the demon lord in his dream. But I wonder where my senior brother Guanyin is gone. How did the demon lord enter this small temple?" C.I. Hang smiled and said, "After all, her mana is one level higher than all of you. That day, I did not make her stay. There are thousands of incarnations of Guanyin, but the one that I have incarnated is only 1 or 2 out of 10. Therefore, I am Daoist C.I. Hang, not Guanyin Bodhisattva. Very soon, I will be Samantabhadra Bodhisattva, Manjushri Bodhisattva, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. However, it will be difficult to replace Guanyin Bodhisattva. Guanyin is the one with the most profound cultivation among us. It's understandable that you couldn't stop her that day. We Bodhisattvas have Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and incarnations. With a single thought, we can purify the Dharmakaya Buddha. With a single thought, we can achieve perfection of the Sambhogakaya Buddha. With a single thought, we can achieve billions of incarnations. Now, the Brahma Lord was dreaming of himself. His billions of incarnations had all entered the Brahma Lord's dream. Now, only a Dharma body of one thought was guarding this temple in his heart, and a Sambhogakaya body was bitterly resisting the Devil Master's invasion. Senior brother Guanyin's cultivation is the most profound. He has billions of incarnations that are like Buddha. That's why he was able to protect so many incarnations under the devilish influence. Her incarnations of Daoist C.I. Heng, Fish Basket Guanyin, Thousand Hands and Thousand Eyes Bodhisattva, For Arms Guanyin, 21 Terras, and Avalokitesvara have all been tainted by the Devil Lord. However, the great compassionate and pessimistic Bodhisattva and the 30 incarnations of Guanyin have not been tainted by the Devil Lord. Therefore, this Daoist C.I. Heng cannot be called Guanyin. Samantabhadra then sighed. So the one who has been trapped in the small temple with us is you, Daoist C.I. Heng. This is the heart temple formed by the Buddha's will. It's a pure land for us in the midst of Devil Lord Fan Meng's devilishness. May I ask, Devil Lord, is this really a manifestation of the Buddha? Or is it the incarnation of the Buddha that the Devil Lord dreamed of? It's not that he doesn't have me. It's not that I have nothing to take. Therefore, why don't we look at it from a Taoist perspective? Heaven and earth are born together with me, and all living things are one with me. Daoist C.I. Heng did not answer directly, but said with a smile, "It's all because of fate. It's just the rise and fall of fate." Samantabhadra Bodhisattva sighed and stopped asking. Manjushri Bodhisattva, who was at the side, did not play along with them, but went straight to the point. So when Gautama Buddha entered the Sanskrit dream, there was also karmic transformation. Grandmaster Sakyamuni's mana was much stronger than ours, but even Gautama Buddha's Sambhogakaya was also formed by karmic transformation. When Gautama Buddha entered the dream, karmic transformation was due to karma transformation, so Sambhogakaya was no longer complete. No wonder the Dream Heart Temple was taken advantage of by the demons. However, Brahma, your karma with the Buddha isn't something that can be done in a day. Within this temple of the heart, even if you can interfere, you can't do whatever you want. Therefore, it can still protect us from being infected by the devil. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva sighed and said, Buddha's Sambhogakaya is no longer complete. We don't have much time left. We don't have much time left for the three realms either. Samantabhadra Bodhisattva sighed and said, if that's the case, I'm afraid that the great matter of saving the three realms and even the whereabouts of the reincarnated spirit child will no longer be a secret to the demon lord. I hope that senior brother Guanyin can be one step earlier outside the dream. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva sighed and said, Guanyin, is there anything urgent for you to see me? Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor sat high up in the Lingshao Palace and asked Guanyin Bodhisattva, I'm here to see you, Great Heavenly Lord, to ask you to retract your order and pardon the heavens' equal demon emperor, Monkey King, for his crimes against heaven. The disaster at Spirited Mountain has been clearly investigated. It was the heavenless demon's doing. The strange sign a few days ago has also been made clear. It was the immeasurable Heavenly Lord who framed his disciple. The Monkey King is innocent. Please forgive him for his crimes, Your Majesty, Guanyin Bodhisattva said. That monkey is rebellious. He killed a few of my generals. His arrogance is unpardonable. He has evil intentions. Why do you say that? The Jade Emperor frowned. Great Heavenly Lord, the Monkey King still has a use for it. That day on Spirited Mountain, the ancient Dipankara Buddha passed away. Before he died, he left 17 relics to Sun Wukong, which were formed by 17 karmic ties. The heavenless demon head was the evil karma of the ancient Buddha because of the division of reincarnation. Evil karma begets evil karma. If you want to destroy the heavenless demon head, you have to solve the anger of the ancient Dipankara Buddha when the reincarnation was divided into 6 realms. Only by gathering all 17 karmic relics can you destroy the heavenless demon, who is the 18th relic. Only by destroying the heavenless demon can you use the 18 relics to awaken the golden body of the Gautama Buddha and have something to rely on in the 3 realms. Only then can you resist the Brahma demon's dream of the 3 realms and restore it to normal. Don't lie to me, Great Heavenly Lord. The Jade Emperor shook his head and said, in the past, the Brahma demon came to the world and dreamt the 3 realms, causing all living beings and gods to return to nothingness. The Gautama Buddha abandoned his body and used his primordial spirit to escape into the emptiness of the 3 realms to stop the Brahma demon's dream. Instead, his golden body was contaminated. Now, even if the Gautama Buddha's golden body returns to the 3 realms, it will only return to the beginning. How can you talk about the peace of the 3 realms? Guanyin frowned and said after a long time, since Great Heavenly Lord asked, I can only tell you all the secrets, Master. The Monkey King's hair incarnation finally found one of Chun Ang's thoughts in the ultimate. It asked with a sad face, since Master is willing to come out to see me, you must be willing to make things clear? I have searched the entire 3 realms just to ask Master one thing. As long as Master has an order, how can I dare to disobey? Why? Why are you forcing me? Monkey King, the 3 realms are like the waves of the Milky Way. From the time when the world was created, it flowed to the end of the world. 1 yuan, 1 life, 1 death. It is just a wave on this Milky Way. All living beings are in the river. There are only a few people standing on a riverbank like me. After all, you're still in the river. Even though you have learned to swim and I taught you how to go ashore, you have never come ashore to see it with your own eyes. If you have seen it with your own eyes, you will see that there is a reef in front of the Milky Way that divides the river into 2. One of the directions has fallen into a bottomless abyss. Even I can't see it. That reef is the Brahma demon's dream. It can also be called the apocalypse illusory world. Chinong pointed at the ultimate. From then on, the three realms became a dream of his thoughts. Even I can no longer see the destination of the river, because at that time, all living beings in the three realms are just an illusion in his dream. I want you to climb ashore before the river falls into the abyss. Monkey King, the easiest thing in the world is to make a choice. The hardest thing is to make the right choice, because most of the time, there is no right choice. Even if you can see the trajectory of the three realms' Milky Way from the shore, it will be difficult to find the right choice. I once told you that Brahma is a manifestation of the will of my other self. With a single thought, he can see the past and the future, including all variables. If he is allowed to calculate the three realms, then this universe will only be an illusion in his dream. The so-called illusion is nothing more than that. Only 2 or 3 people can save the three realms, but due to various reasons, they cannot act. Although Buddha Tathagata is powerful, he is not Sakya. Mani's true will is only an illusion he left in the three realms. Sakya and Mani's karmic fate converge to become Tathagata. Tathagata used his own primordial spirit as a variable to tangle with Brahma, but he can't cause much trouble for Brahma. It won't be long before this variable is under Brahma's control. When that happens, the three realms will become an illusion. All living beings will perish, unless there's a variable on the same level as Tathagata who is also willing to sacrifice himself. That way, multiplying the two variables will increase the difficulty of the calculation. It's just like how a linear equation with one variable becomes a quadratic equation with two variables, Wukong replied. In the three realms, there are people whose primordial spirits contain infinite possibilities that even Brahma can't calculate. Tathagata is Sakya's shadow, so he is one. I am one. Taoist Tai Ching is also one. I also know about the Jade Emperor. He is one. There are no more than 5. I cultivate the quantum divine light indefinite 2 realms probability cloud. Of course I am one, Monkey King said. Yes, and more suitable than the Jade Emperor. If the Jade Emperor is sacrificed, it will take about 6,000 tribulations for Brahma to calculate his and Tathagata's variables. If it's you, Monkey King, you will definitely be able to delay it until 10,000 tribulations. That's why we saw the reef that divided the heavenly river into 2. That reef is your choice. In the small temple of the great Thunderclap Monastery, Samantabhadra sighed, fate is nameless. Brahma can control the birth and death of fate, the rise and fall of fate, the gathering and dispersing of fate. Therefore, he can control the birth and death of all living beings, the beginning and end of the universe, the living beings of the three realms, and the thoughts and consciousness of the deities and Buddhas. Only by reaching the nameless place and transcending fate can the three realms be saved from the hands of Brahma. But even Sakya and Uni-Buddha are only fused by fate. In this world, only when the Monkey King and Buddha become one can the three realms be saved. In the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches, Guanyin said to the Jade Emperor, only when the primordial spirit of a great medium merges with the Buddha and becomes unimaginable, beyond the control of Brahma, can the three realms be saved. And the only person who can save the three realms is the heaven-equaling Demon Emperor, Monkey King. The Monkey King closed his eyes and sighed. That's why Master saw the trajectory of the heavenly river. From the beginning to the end, he knew what I would choose. I only lost one piece, causing me to fall out with the heavenly court and spirited mountain. I have no more worries in this world. Of course, I hope that you can break through the void and escape the three realms to a wider world. Chinong smiled. Chapter 9, 67. Can you take it? Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor asked softly. Guanyin Bodhisattva remained silent, using her actions to show her attitude. Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor sighed, lightly tapping the table in front of him. After thinking for a long time, he said, now I understand why the immeasurable Heavenly Lord did it despite knowing that the Monkey King would not be able to do anything to me. He saw things further than I did. Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor stood up from his throne and said angrily, "He is forcing me to my death. I am the Emperor of Heaven, a powerful person, but I also bear the responsibility of the three realms. If the three realms really turn upside down and the Sanskrit demons destroy the world, I can only stand up. I have to stand up, because I am the Emperor of Heaven. The three realms are my subjects." The immeasurable heavenly Lord forced Buddha Tathagata to his death, and now he wants to force me to my death. What is he trying to do? Is he trying to rebel? Is the Elder Lord just going to watch? Could it be that Lao Jun is tired of being a carefree and noble celestial lord and wants to sit in my position? Guanyin Bodhisattva quickly advised, "Great heavenly Lord, please calm down. The Elder Lord is a person of virtue and prestige. How can you talk about coveting the throne of the Emperor of Heaven? Do you think I care about the position of the great heavenly Lord? In the past, when he explained the great Tao, I was influenced by it and became the primordial beginning, one of the three pure ones. I was born from the Tao of the universe and was willing to take him as my elder brother. Later, he opened up this universe from nothing, becoming the primordial beginning heavenly Lord, my incarnation. The foundation of this world became the Tao heavenly Lord, his incarnation. The universe went from being to nothing. Heaven and earth returned to nothingness, becoming the numinous treasure heavenly Lord, the three pure ones. Heaven and earth were settled, and I did not want to fight with him for the rightful position of this world. So I left, leaving behind the primordial beginning heavenly Lord, giving him the position of the three pure ones. Unexpectedly, he forced me to stay and asked me to be a venerable sovereign of this world. Therefore, when I was born in my old country, he personally came to welcome me and made me one of the venerable emperors of this world. After experiencing thousands of tribulations, I cultivated painstakingly. It was only when the previous Emperor of Heaven, Tai, fell from his throne that I was bestowed with the title of Great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor. He has ruled the three realms for thousands of tribulations. You are in a position to govern. As long as I am still the Emperor of Heaven, I will do what I have to do. If there comes a day when I am no longer the Emperor of Heaven, I will just abdicate. But that immeasurable heavenly Lord wants to use this emperor to fill a hole. Just like the Tathagata fruit throne left behind by Sakyamuni, he has his eyes on this incarnation of mine. He wants to force me to fill the three realms and the universe, forcing me to become Taoist. You think I don't know his background? As a mortal, it is really not easy to enter this realm. My original body, Heavenly Lord Yuan Shi, created the universe from nothing, the origin of all space-time matter. It was because of another great wisdom in the mortal world, Laozi, who cultivated and expounded on the great Tao and was born from Taoism. Therefore, Laozi is Daozu, the origin of all Taoism. Heavenly Lord Ling Bao and I were born from Taoism. Although I was born as a Heavenly Lord because of my noble birth, I am still lower than Daozu. The wisdom of those post-celestial beings is really terrifying. That immeasurable Heavenly Lord, like Laozi, was born as a post-celestial intelligent being. His name is Chenong. I don't know his origin, but when I was the Heavenly Lord Yuan Shi, another person who expounded on the great Tao, Oe, once reformed the foundation of the universe, Tao de Tianzuan, into 5 godly lords. Although Oe didn't perfect his great Tao to perfection like Daozu and Gautama Buddha, it is still pleasing to the eye. In that universe, my Heavenly Lord Yuan Shi's existence and Tao de Tianzuan's part were mixed, forming 2 godly lords, infinity and eternity. That universe is where Buddhist Devil's original body is now. Although post-celestial beings can incarnate into billions of people and spread across the boundless universe, they're still not as good as innate gods like us. As long as there is a universe, there will be the existence of our concept. Wherever our concept exists, it will be our incarnation. Although there are many differences in Taoism, the origin is the same. That immeasurable Heavenly Lord is also the same as Buddhist Devil's original body. However, immeasurable Heavenly Lord was formed by Chun Ang's Taoism, so he has to address Laozi as Daozu. As for Buddhist Devil's original body, he intends to include the Great Tao and is the same as the Great Tao. He is not on the same path as my preaching. Gautama Buddha and Daozu are preachers of Taoism, strong in the word Tao. As for Buddhist Devil's original body, he is close to the Great Tao and is the same as the Great Tao. We innate gods are Taoists. We're the living beings who expound on the Great Tao and are the same as the Great Tao. Speaking of which, I, Yuan Shi, and Chenong are also acquaintances. Let's not talk about the immeasurable Heavenly Lord. In the three realms, I met his two incarnations. On Cybertron, one of my Tao incarnations also met him. Also, when I was working under AO and in the Outer God universe, I saw him everywhere. Previously, he was too powerful and difficult to control, so I could only let him do as he pleased. This time, he has really come to bully us. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to force his disciple to die. Guanyin, the Jade Emperor said faintly. Guanyin was smart enough to pretend that she didn't hear anything. She was indeed a great divinity. With a turn of her eyes, she forgot about the past. She lowered her head obediently and said, "As you wish, great heavenly master. Go and invite my nephew. He's a natural god of war. When it comes to magical powers, he's not inferior to that monkey. Although Neza has already invited him, you still need to persuade him not to act recklessly and fight head-on. I don't need to subdue that demon monkey. I want to use it to fill the hole. It's better to use wits." Beside the ultimate, Monkey King looked up at Chenong and said in a low voice, "Master, I'm going." Chenong sighed and said, "This is the last time we will part. Whether you, Monkey King, give up your life for the three realms or choose freedom, it will be difficult for us to meet again. The world is so big. How can it not contain a monkey? There will be a day when you will be able to jump out of my palm. You will no longer be restrained." With that, Chun Ang's figure slowly faded and disappeared before Monkey King's eyes. Beside the sinkhole, a strong wind blew, and Goku's golden hair fluttered in the wind. It looked up and saw a great sun slowly extinguishing in the sinkhole, as though its master had closed his eyes. On the spirited mountain, corpses piled up like a mountain under Monkey King's feet. He looked around, but all he could see was a vast mountain range filled with blood and killing intent. Heavenly soldiers were everywhere, like the mountains and the seas. After great Heavenly Lord Jade Emperor made his decision, he mobilized all the soldiers of the Heavenly Court and invited all the immortal kings and venerables to fight against him. Millions of eyes were focused on Monkey King. However, Goku stood in the middle of it, treating it as dust and not taking it seriously at all. Only a gaze caused it to react. It turned around and saw a valiant heavenly general holding a three-pointed, double-edged sword and leading a thin black dog staring at it. A divine eye on his forehead stood up. Without needing to introduce himself, Monkey King knew who it was. Chapter 968. I was wondering which side they called for reinforcements from. The monkey was covered in blood. Although it was the blood of others, it didn't change the smile on its face, so it's Erlang Shun. Monkey King. Erlang Shun sighed. "There aren't many people in the three realms that are worthy of my attention, but you're one of them." Monkey King smiled. "You're one of them that is worthy of my attention in the three realms." Suddenly, Erlang Shun saw Guanyin Bodhisattva activating the formation and could only shake his head. "But since we've met, there's no point in saying all this. I'm the demon subduing general of the celestial heavens, while you're the demon of the earth. Let's do it this way. Let's use our true skills." The monkey was about to attack, but when it heard that, it thought, Erlang Shun isn't like those good-for-nothings from before. He's a strong opponent. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you can fight 100 battles. Why don't I take a look at his background? Immediately, it held the golden cudgel in one hand and placed its other hand behind its back to cover its eyes. In front of everyone, a ray of golden light shot out from its eyes, swallowing and spitting. It was activating the quantum aura indefinite two realms probabilistic cloud primordial spirit to spy on the real situation. Erlang Shun saw the golden eyes looking at him. Others could only see the divine light in the monkey's eyes, but he was the only one who sensed it instinctively. He quickly opened the heavenly eye on his forehead and looked over as well. He saw that in the light of the three realms, there were endless probabilities in the future. A monkey was testing himself in all sorts of ways, whether it was competing with changes, fighting with martial arts, or using exquisite magic power to compete with Monkey King's theory of shattering vacuum. In an instant, the two of them fought over 10,000 times in the uncertain future, and they both knew each other's powerful divine arts. Monkey King kept the golden eyes and exclaimed, "Good ability, you actually broke my special ability. The thousands of celestial generals here are nothing to me. My quantum spiritual light, indefinite primordial spirit, only needs to peek into the light of the universe and kill them once in the uncertain future. When the probability cloud collapses, I'll cast a spell to observe a specific outcome. In just one night, I'll be able to kill them all." But in the rehearsal, I saw that Erlang Shun was indeed extraordinary. The heavenly eye between his brows was actually able to pry into the future indefinite light of time. I've tested him tens of thousands of times. Although I've observed the results, I haven't gained any advantage. He's seen through me. However, he didn't know that Erlang Shun was also a loss. This monkey is so powerful. I have fought with him several tens of thousands of times, but I have never been able to win a single time. Instead, he has defeated me several hundred times. Among them, he has the upper hand in the majority of the fights. I have only been able to win a few tens of times. No wonder you told me not to act alone. Guanyin Bodhisattva, who was at the back, secretly sighed. For some reason, she felt pity for the monkey opposite her. You say that he's fighting you one-on-one in a head-on battle, but you don't know that he's going all out in his attacks. This time, Great Heavenly Venerate Jade Emperor is really angry. Guanyin Bodhisattva was the first to make a move. She had a divine ability that could receive the boundless mana of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas from the past and the future. She chuckled softly. Namo Super Sun and Moonlight Buddha. Then, a Buddha that transcended the universe's space-time and penetrated the past and future appeared from the boundless light of time. From Chun Ang's point of view, it was like a super photon going against the river of space-time, cutting off Monkey King's prophetic premonition. This time, both Erlang Shun and Monkey King were in trouble. In their divine eyes, they only saw a ray of light that surpassed the radiance of the sun and moon by 1,000,000,000,000 times. Instantly, their eyes felt like they were being pricked by needles, and tears flowed down their cheeks. Erlang Shun was still fine. After all, he had the divine eye on his forehead. Even if he lost one eye, he still had two. On the other hand, Monkey King's eyes were both affected. As if he had seen wind and smoke, his eyes turned red. His divine eyes turned fiery and golden. Guanyin Bodhisattva's divine ability had yet to stop. She called out one after another, Namo Sakyamuni Buddha, Namo Vajra Unbreakable Buddha, Namo Beogwang Buddha, Namo Dragon King Buddha, Namo Jingjun Buddha, Namo Bawa Buddha, Namo Moonlight Buddha, Namo Present No Foolishness Buddha. With every praise, there would be a response from the Buddha in the void. In an instant, all sorts of unbelievable Buddha lights bloomed in the void. It was a joint attack by the Buddhist army. Every Buddha had their own divine ability. The Super Sun and Moonlight Buddha used super photons to seal the past and future. The Vajra Buddha used the Higgs field to destroy the strong and weak nuclear force between quarks, destroying the foundation of all matter. The Beogwang Buddha released immeasurable radiation that interfered with all photon radiation. The Dragon King Buddha destroyed the foundation of all mechanics, causing the chaos of the vacuum. The Jingjun Buddha interfered with the quantum calculation of consciousness and interfered with the operation of Monkey King's quantum primordial spirit. The Baohua Buddha controlled the increase of entropy in the universe, causing the energy in the space where Monkey King was to go out of control and cause the universe to die. Guanyin Bodhisattva alone brought along the entire Buddhist army to fight. She interfered with all the laws and destroyed all the constants of the universe, causing all the laws and theorems in the place where Monkey King was to be turned upside down. They tried their best to destroy the Tao and truth in the three realms, causing the variables of the constants of the universe to be infinite in a short period of time. When stacked together, the variables reached infinity, to the point where they could not be calculated. Even if Monkey King had divine ability, he still needed to rely on the Tao and truth in the universe to perform it. Of course, these Buddhas had not reached the point where they could change the scientific laws of the universe at will. But they could do it, adding a variable to any known attribute. It was obvious that they wanted to bully Monkey King with their computing power. This was not Guanyin Bodhisattva fighting alone. Behind her was the concept of the laws of the universe that the Jade Emperor had generously lent out. After being enlightened by the Dharma, they turned into the Buddha. Other than the manna of some great mediums who had become Buddhas in the past and future, the rest of the Buddhas were the embodiment of the laws of the universe. If it was not for the help of the primeval, the manager of this universe, the Emperor of Heaven, how could he have enlightened so many laws of the universe and conceptualized them into the Buddha? This was the true power of the Emperor of Heaven, the Lord of Gods, the incarnation of Hao Yin. All the concepts in the three realms, including the gods who had not formed a personality, were under his command. If the gods in the heavenly court were the collection of the will of the three realms' divinity, then Hao Yin was the collection of all the nothing of the three realms' divinity. It was the sum of all the gods without personality. Hao Yin was the Son of Heaven. It was because of his will that Guanyin Bodhisattva could invite the Buddhas who had never become Buddhas in the past and future, the concept of the universe described by Buddhism, and the Buddhas who had never appeared in the three realms, but only in the Buddhist scriptures. Even Neza could not help but click his tongue at such a luxurious group of fighters. Only then did he realize the power of the great heavenly Lord. He was the biggest foundation of the heavenly court, the collection of the nothing of the heavenly court compared to the universe. One person was equivalent to billions of people in the entire heavenly court. Chapter 969. In the numinous sky hall, great celestial venerable Jade Emperor sat on the Emperor's throne, playing chess with Chunong. He took the black chess piece and went first, casually blocking one of Chun Ang's chi holes and conveniently creating a tribulation material. He smiled and said, "Immeasurable heavenly lore, this time I won first." Chunong looked up at him and said threateningly, "Great celestial venerable, I can't tolerate you bullying my little monkey." "What can you do if you can't tolerate it?" Great celestial venerable Jade Emperor laughed and said, "We made an agreement in front of Brother Grand Pure. If I don't ask Primordial Beginning for help, you can't help your disciple. Although I'm helping Guanyin Bodhisattva, as Celestial Venerable Hao, what can you do? Hit me if you don't like it. If you talk like that, I'll turn hostile immediately." Chenong pointed at his nose and said, "Come on, let's turn hostile then. The three of us have always fought together. Against you, it's the three of us. Against thousands of soldiers and horses, against the countless life forms of the universe, it's the same for us. I don't believe that you can defeat the three of us, the three pure ones. I, Primordial Beginning, survive in this multiverse by relying on brotherhood." Great Celestial Venerable Jade Emperor wanted to flip the chessboard. "You have guts." Chenong secretly calculated that he and Cult Master Chun might not be able to defeat the three of them. If the apocalypse attacked, he wouldn't be afraid. However, the apocalypse had his own ideas. He came to this world to invite the Grand Pure One to attack the apocalypse. Although the apocalypse was happy to see this, he might not give him face. His other identities, such as River Styx, were not suitable to attack. Chunong made up his mind and laughed. Primordial Tao Brother is of noble birth, the ancestor of the grand beginning and grand beginning of the universe. Why do you have to learn human language and act like a child? Come. Let's play chess. Haha. Sorry to make Shindayu laugh at me. Great Heavenly Venerate Jade Emperor's anger faded, and he said with a smile, "I once had some good fortune in a strange universe. I was the primordial Heavenly King, one of Pangu's. The Pangu of that universe was a zombie-like filth. I found that the universe was quite strange, so I stayed there for a while. I've learned some vulgar words. It's so funny. Huh. Speaking of which, it's quite a coincidence. I seem to have seen you in that universe before and caught a glimpse of you. Oh, Chenong asked in surprise. Fellow Taoist, you are? Fellow Taoist, although you have the name of Pangu with your heart and spirit, how could you give yourself to a filthy zombie body? Chenong pondered for a moment and suddenly smiled. So, it's the heavenly book. I was wondering why the three books of the universe, heaven, earth, and man, seemed to be a little strange. That item of destiny had a strange origin. So it turns out that fellow Taoist is involved. As if nothing had happened, Chun Ong cupped his hands and smiled at the Jade Emperor. The Jade Emperor was about to reply when his expression suddenly changed and he shouted, Chun Daoyu is so cunning. How dare you trick me? It turned out that when Guanyin Bodhisattva invited all the Buddhas in the sky, she involuntarily chanted a Buddhist name, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Amitabha Buddha. Chin Ong slapped the table and laughed. Fellow Taoist, my name is being called down below. Let me split my attention to check it out. Great Heavenly Venerate Jade Emperor wanted to stop him, but he heard Chun Ang's voice beside his ear. Great Heavenly Venerate, you must not make a move. The two of us made a promise in front of fellow Taoist Tai Ching that our real bodies would not make a move. That's because your real body is stingy. Great Heavenly Venerate, if you suffer a little, he will block the entrance to the universe of the three realms and force me to sign the agreement. But the agreement did not mention that you, Great Heavenly Venerate, could not make a move. That's why Great Heavenly Venerate cheated Guanyin Bodhisattva with his Haotian status. I didn't hold it against him. Speaking of which, my real body also has a subname called Amitabha Buddha and Amitabha Buddha. Like Great Heavenly Venerate, they are not included in the agreement. This time, it's just a projection. If Great Heavenly Venerate wants to make a move personally, that Amitabha Buddha will have to make a move personally to kill Great Heavenly Venerate's rash actions. I'll blast you to pieces. Great Heavenly Venerate Jade Emperor paused and let a bit of Chun Ang's divine will clone descend to the lower realm. He said, Fine, I'll let a bit of your divine will descend to the lower realm. I wonder how Heavenly Venerate will deal with me bullying you with Haotian status. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and placed a chess piece. However, he was waiting to see what would happen and placed it in the dragon's hand. Chenong didn't answer. He just raised his hand, pointing directly at the Jade Emperor's dragon. In the void below, the Dharma bodies of the Amateus Buddha and the Amateus Buddha appeared in the void. The Amateus Buddha turned his head and glanced at Guanyin. There was a hidden meaning in his eyes. In Guanyin's eyes, he was clearly saying, You cheated and bullied my child. Have you ever thought that he also has a backer? I will also support him. Amitabha Buddha also said with a look in his eyes, You dare to really hit a monster with a backer. And you even cheated. Are you bullying him because he doesn't have an adult? As soon as the two Buddha's true bodies came out, they began to chant mantras in a frenzy. Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Amitabha Buddha, Namo Hot Death Buddha, Great Bodhisattva, Namo Nuclear Lord Buddha, Namo Strong Nuclear Force Buddha, Namo Unified Field Buddha, Namo Light, Namo Heat, Namo Radiation Nuclear Lord Buddha, Namo Future Demon Lord Buddha, Namo Styx River Blood Sea Buddha. Every time he chanted the name of Buddha, a Buddha would appear out of thin air. Great Bodhisattva Gatling of Nanwu. With a declaration, the void echoed. Immediately, a Bodhisattva's Dharmakaya emerged from the void. He was wearing a Vairocana hat, a necklace, bracelets, a shawl, a scarf, a heavenly robe, and mani beads. There was a light while spinning behind his head. He had 9 heads and 6 arms. The few head were the size of mani beads. They gathered on top of his head like a crown. Each of his 6 arms held a Dharma artifact. There was a crowbar, an AK-47, an RPG, a 107 rocket launcher, and another 2 hands holding a 6-barreled Gatling gun. There were defensive and offensive grenades wrapped around his shoulders and waist, and a tactical dagger at his waist. On these Dharma artifacts, colorful Sanskrit characters danced up and down. On the 6 machine gun barrels, the 6 words of the Great Light Seed, incantation, shone brightly. He looked solemn and dignified. The most eye-catching thing was the divine beast that the Gatling Bodhisattva was sitting on. It was made of steel and had an angular body. It was powered by a powerful engine and had a sturdy and durable operating system. It was the divine beast of the pickup truck, Optimus Prime. As the 6-barrel Gatling gun in the Gatling Bodhisattva's hand shot out a huge flame, the AK, RPG, and 107 rocket launcher roared and spewed out flames. The pickup truck Optimus Prime rumbled, and the surrounding heavenly court soldiers fell as if they were mowing grass. Caught off guard, the Bodhisattva was blasted in the face by an RPG. The Gatling Bodhisattva grinned, one hand holding the 6-barreled Gatling gun, the other clenched into a fist, and sang, "Yes." RPG. Chapter 970. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were delighted to see the RPG explode. In the void, another 5 wisdom kings materialized. They were the Gatling Bodhisattva. The nuclear fission and the karmic fire mushroom cloud formed the Buddhist chakra. Each of the 5 wisdom kings materialized. One of them sat cross-legged in the form of a child. His hair was braided down his left shoulder. His left eye was closed, and his lower teeth bit his upper lip. He looked angry and carried a fire on his back. It had 3 faces and 6 arms, each holding a cannon in its hand, as if it was trying to resolve its troubles. This wisdom king sat on a steel divine object. His 5 wheels were wrapped around the tracks, spinning the universe and carrying an infinite weight. This was the wisdom king of the 5 teachings incarnations of the Gatling Bodhisattva. The wisdom king had 6 arms and multiple turrets. It had a complex structure consisting of bearings, gears, transmission belts, engines, and turrets. It was the first symbol of the wisdom king of the 5 teachings incarnations, cyber incarnation. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas sang and praised. The wisdom king is ever-changing. The wisdom king is limitless. His merits are vast, and his wisdom is marvelous. The power of the light shakes the universe. May I be the sage king Foki, transcend life and death and deliver freedom. The first cannon turret has infinite numbers and 5 pairs of wheels. Praise the wisdom king. Praise the Gatling Bodhisattva. The wisdom king of Katyusha, the wisdom king of Ihwa, the wisdom king of East Wind, and the wisdom king of Annihilation followed the Bodhisattva, the symbol of compassion, equality, and righteousness. Therefore, under the cannon turret, everything is equal. When the tracks roll over, everything is pure. Where the east wind is, everything is compassionate. This is the supreme righteousness that saves the countless suffering people in the world. Hence, Yenhua Samadhi, many riveting, steaming hard, the tools are enough to hold 100,000 Samadhi. Stay in deep meditation. See the countless Buddhas. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were even more delighted. They knelt down and clasped their palms together, praising, Gatling Bodhisattva. When you were deep in Prajnaparamita, you saw the suffering of all living beings and were freed from all suffering. The 6-barrel machine gun fired rapidly without any obstacles, without terror, far away from Bosun. Nirvana, the Buddhas of the 3 worlds. According to the Great Light Mantra of the 6 pipes and 6 words, Prajnaparamita, one attained the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. The Gatling Bodhisattva's 6 pure depleted uranium bullets are the equality mantra, the liberation mantra, the supreme mantra, the unequal mantra, the unequal mantra, the 6-barrel machine gun, 6 words Great Light Mantra. He said the incantation, Ma, Pa, Mi, Pa, 1 revolution, 1 incantation, 6 tubes, 1 breath, 3,060,000 revolutions, never stopping to deliver all living beings from suffering. Great, Gatling Bodhisattva. Good, Gatling Bodhisattva. Gatling Bodhisattva, Mahasattva. Unveiling the truth, unveiling the truth. Bodhisattva, unveiling the truth. Bodhisattva, unveiling the truth. Bodhisattva, unveiling the truth. While the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were praising him, the six-barrel machine gun held by the Bodhisattva Gatling spewed out blue flames in the blink of an eye. Countless bullets swept in all directions. The heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals were cut down as if they were mowing grass. Every bullet carried a seed of the great light mantra. The sound of the gunshots was like the sound of Sanskrit. One sound and one incantation. It was the truth of the universe, the supreme power of Buddhism. One revolution of the six tubes was the six-syllable mantra. The Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva was swept by the six sounds, 3,060,000 revolutions in a breath, as if the six paths of reincarnation were covering her face. It was an indescribable feeling. There was also Kaikyusha Vidyaraja with 12 rounds of 306mm rockets, Vidyaraja with 125mm recoil cannon, and East Wind Vidyaraja with giant wave, Eagle Strike, Red Flag, Red Arrow, Red Tassel, Vanguard, Thunderbolt, KD, and Sea Eagle. The incarnation of the Wisdom King of the East Wind carried the venerable nuclear Lord Buddha, the Buddha of immeasurable heat, the Buddha of immeasurable strength, the Buddha of immeasurable entropy, the Bodhisattva of heat death, the Buddha of helium flash fusion, the Buddha of atomic fission, the venerable nuclear Lord Buddha of immeasurable light, immeasurable heat, and immeasurable radiation. Wherever the Gatling Bodhisattva passed by with the 5 great Vidyaraja wheels, not a single blade of grass grew, and the 3 realms became peaceful. The great Jade Emperor's face darkened as he watched. With a gloomy expression, he threatened, "If you continue to bully my subordinates, don't blame me for not showing you any respect." Chinong plainly said, "When Great Celestial Venerable bullied my monkey, you didn't show me any respect either. We are all beings with billions of incarnations. When it comes to cheating, who is afraid of who? All things seek change, including the heavenly Tao. Now, Great Celestial Venerable is still Celestial Venerable Hao, but don't forget that there will be a time when the previous Hao Tiantai abdicates. Under the river of eternal light, there will also be a day when you abdicate. Now, you are omnipotent and omnipotent, but the changes of the heavenly Tao in the future aren't something you can control. So, Celestial Venerable, you use these concepts that don't exist yet to transform into the Buddha true body?" Great Celestial Venerable Jade Emperor laughed coldly. "Celestial Venerable, you're bullying the weak. Aren't you a little shameless? Bullying the weak? Isn't it your specialty, Tao, friend, primordial beginning? My cultivation is still shallow, and I'm ashamed." Chen Ong cupped his fists at Jade Emperor. "Also, I'm bullying someone else's child, but you're beating up your own brother's child. If you're talking about bullying the weak, I'm just following your lead." Chen Ong deliberately changed the topic and mocked. Great Emperor Jade Emperor laughed. "Celestial Venerable, what are you talking about? I, primordial beginning, put righteousness above all else, and I've never done such a disgraceful thing. You're talking about the 3 sky fairies? Ha! That was just disciplining my nephew. Disciplining my nephew. Why can't I discipline my own brother's child? Olby asterisk starred. You won't let go of my nephew's daughter." Chen Ong only sneered. Great Emperor Jade Emperor was embarrassed by his words, and he could only copy Chen Ang's trick. He changed the topic and said, "Celestial Venerable, if we continue like this, we won't be able to determine a winner except for those below us. Why don't the 2 of us stop for now and let them fight? That's what I wanted, but the Great Celestial Venerable is ahead of us. In this way, neither of us can interfere. Otherwise, I'll let my avatar turn into the nuclear Buddha King and self-destruct, reopening the wind, earth, water, and fire realms, and perish together with the 3 realms." Chenong threatened. Great Emperor Jade Emperor said calmly, "Celestial Venerable, who do you think you're threatening? Who do you think I am? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Allahobak? Since the 2 of us have already agreed, it's important that we keep our faces and not embarrass ourselves in front of my senior brother's house." "All right then." Chenong stood up and said, "Let's stop." Thus, both sides retracted their moves and picked up the pieces that they had dropped. On the other side, Wukong, was originally blocking left and right, and it was difficult for him to continue. When Amitai's Buddha came online, he saw the Buddhas manifested on both sides, killing in all directions. The Buddhas manifested by how Ian had no choice but to protect the gods of the heavenly heavens. Wukong hurriedly took the opportunity to escape and bowed to Amitai's Buddha in the void. Master, Master. Amitai's Buddha smiled and said, I'm not your master. Great celestial, venerable Jade Emperor is still watching from above. But Monkey King, what do you have to say? Monkey King bowed and said, Ancestral Master, you're fighting with others, so please let me live. I don't want to be someone's chess piece anymore. Amitai's Buddha smiled and said, Since you don't want to be a chess piece, why don't you jump out? You'll be free from now on, and no longer be manipulated by others. Master, do I have to let go of everything if I want to jump out? Monkey King asked, Can I only jump out of this game of chess when the 3 realms are destroyed? Chapter 971. Venerable Huishan. Taoist Qing Chen's face was full of disbelief. I didn't expect it to be you. Huishan's usual benevolent countenance was gone. He laughed out loud. Of course you didn't expect it to be you. Who would have thought that a benevolent and compassionate monk would be the mastermind behind all of you? If I didn't know that you wouldn't expect it, why would I disguise myself? Hand over the reincarnated spirit child. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. What? Someone struggled. You said that as long as we protect the Buddha, we will have the chance to become Buddhas in the future. Is there a greater benefit than that? Or did Wu Tian promise you something more? You don't believe the Buddha's promise, but you believe the words of a demon. You will be the one to die in the future. Become a Buddha? Huishan laughed and said, Are you talking about becoming a Buddha statue or a wooden statue on Spirited Mountain? Wu Tian? Who cares about him? As long as I complete this mission, I will obtain a world. What I can obtain is a world where you can do whatever you want. Who would care about becoming a Buddha or an ancestor? Han Xiao lingered to me. After Huishan finished laughing, his face revealed an ominous glint as he said fiercely, Otherwise, all of you will suffer a fate worse than death. Taoist Qing Chen smiled. It's too late. Huishan, although I didn't know you were the mastermind, I didn't trust anyone. Xiao Linger was brought to Spirited Mountain by taming Tiger Arhut. You always thought that the 16 relics in the Monkey King's hands were the key to Buddha's reincarnation. However, when I was ordered by the 3 bodhisattvas to go to the heavenly court, I met the incarnation of a fisherman. Their bodhisattva told me that there was a traitor among us. Only then did I know that the 17 relics could defeat Wu Tian. However, to bring the Buddha back, I only needed to bring the reincarnated spirit child to Spirited Mountain. At that time, I handed Xiao Linger over to the bodhisattva. Huishan, no matter how you schemed, you are still lacking. Now, the reincarnated spirit child should have reached Spirited Mountain. Didn't you realize that Wu Tian's subordinates are no longer bothering us? Huishan's face was ferocious. He shouted, How is that possible? No, could it be? He raised his head and looked at the Xiao Linger, who was protected behind the group of transmigrators. The handsome young man raised his head and smiled shyly. He nodded and said, Yes, Senior Marshal Brother Huishan. I am Jiang Lu the reincarnation of Golden Cicada. The little attendant who has always been by my side is Xiao Linger. Fan Mo placed you by our side. I told you to sneak into the dream of Brahma and see the 3 bodhisattvas. But when the 3 bodhisattvas saw you, they already saw some clues. They hid a strand of psyche power in your thoughts and tricked Sanskrit Devil to bring that strand of psyche power out. Later, Guanyin Bodhisattva sensed the psyche power of the 3 bodhisattvas and came to see you with her incarnation. She told fellow Taoist Qing Chun the truth and found the reincarnation spiritual connection. But in order to numb Sanskrit demon, I have been cooperating in secret. Jiang Luer put her palms together and said with a smile, I'm the reincarnation of Golden Cicada 20 years ago, so I think I can deceive Brahma and make him believe that I'm the reincarnated spirit child. Sanskrit Devil? Huishan suddenly muttered to himself, So you thought I was one of Sanskrit devil's people? Huishan smiled bitterly and was about to say something when his expression suddenly froze. With a sigh of disappointment, he exploded into a cloud of blood mist in front of everyone. Jiang Luer's expression changed as she said angrily, "Scoundrel! How dare you kill someone in front of me?" Qing Chun, on the other hand, was somewhat bewildered. I originally suspected that Senior Chenong was the one who had been manipulating us behind the scenes, so I tricked him into leaving. I didn't expect it to be the most unlikely venerable Huishan, but from Huishan's last words, he didn't seem to be sent by Sanskrit devil. Qing Chun pondered for a moment, then cried out in alarm, "Oh no, we've been tricked." Tiger subduing Arhut respectfully followed behind a 10-year-old teenager. They walked past the ferry where the Buddha was. Tiger subduing Arhut hurriedly bent down and said, "Revered one, ahead is the path to the top of Mount Numinous. Revered one, please get on my back. I'll bring you up." Xiao Linger obediently climbed onto his back, and the two of them went up Mount Numinous. As far as their eyes could see, above the hall of great strength, a 3-foot-tall monkey covered in dark golden fur was waving its staff at the sky. "Monkey King, do you think that everything will be over if you kill me?" Guanyin Bodhisattva asked with a smile. "So what if I wave this staff? So what if I kill all the gods and Buddhas in the sky? The 3 realms will be destroyed in the end. Are the gods and Buddhas the ones who made the 3 realms disappear? Why don't you ask your master what he wants to do?" Monkey King turned his head back with difficulty, only to see the Amateus Buddha smiling in the sky. "Don't ask me, just do it." Yukong felt that his mind was in a mess. All kinds of things that had happened since he was born flowed through his mind. The birth of the stone monkey that broke the stubborn stone, the carefree play on Mount Huagua, the first time he saw life and death, the transcendent heart, traveling the 4 continents and experiencing the world, and meeting his teacher. Then he went to the meeting of the 3 saints in Luo Jing, drove the green bull out of Han Valley, wreaked havoc in the Milky Way, and claimed to be heaven's equal now that he was standing on Mount Numinous. Who could he wave this staff at? The gods and Buddhas in the sky? Guanyin Bodhisattva was right. Not all the gods and Buddhas were forcing him. Or should he turn back and wave this staff at the culprit who had been forcing him to choose and destroy the 3 realms? Should he break off relations with his master, the master who had taught him everything? Or should he choose to sacrifice himself and help the 3 realms that had raised him? "Master," Monkey King hugged his head and said, "Why are you forcing me?" "Monkey King," Amateus Buddha said seriously, "the 3 realms is too small. Look at the gods and Buddhas in the sky. Look at those great divine arts. Look at the imperial lords and heavenly venerables in the celestial heavens. Look at those war gods who were once high-spirited. Neza, true Lord Erlang. When have they not been unbridled before? When have those great divine arts not been high-spirited and high-spirited? But thousands of tribulations have passed. Has this universe changed again? The system of the celestial court has worn away their spirits and wasted their wills. How can I see you sitting on the lotus platform like a puppet made of clay after several tribulations and reincarnations of the world? Why don't you destroy this world with me? Sever this universe, break this stubborn stone, push down this comfortable nest, and welcome a bigger world. Monkey King, a gentleman is not a tool. Don't limit yourself to any pattern or appearance. Break everything and create any possibility. If you can't do it, the amiable face of Amateus Buddha suddenly changed. Chenong appeared in the void and laughed. If you can't do it, don't blame me for destroying any of your worries and personally branding fear and failure in the deepest part of your heart. I will use thunderous methods to wake you up from the illusory peace and happiness. I will make you hate me to the core. With me as your goal, you will do everything to take revenge and work hard. In the end, you will become a brand new existence. You want to ask me why I'm doing this? Destroying the 3 realms and forcing you to make a choice are all to bid farewell to the past and become a brand new individual. Because I hate stubborn and unchanging things, I hate old individuals. So, No matter if you swing your rod at the three realms and destroy everything, or swing your rod at me and break off relations with me, it's best if you can make a different choice. It's better than becoming that monkey king, the stone monkey, or the victorious fighting Buddha, like those immortals and Buddhas. This is the last lesson I will teach you. Bid farewell to the past. Go. Make your choice. Monkey King held his rod and roared at the sky. Countless golden lotuses bloomed in the hall of great strength. Chow Linger had a smile on her face, and with every step she took, there were golden lotuses supporting her feet. She pointed at the sky and the earth with one hand and smiled. I am the only one in this world. As soon as she said this, an indescribable perfect spirit light appeared behind her head. The gods and Buddhas in the sky were all overjoyed. With Guanyin Bodhisattva in the lead, they bowed and said, "Praise Buddha, Sakyamuni! Praise Buddha." Chenong nodded and said, "Greetings, Buddha." That Sakyamuni smiled and said, "After leaving the three realms for thousands of tribulations, I was still fated to become a Buddha. Yesterday in my dream, I heard that the three realms had risen again, so I came back to take a look. I didn't expect that Cult Master Chin's body from another world had come to seize the three realms. He even trapped my karma dharma body in the void of Anisattva. Monkey King, you were originally my victorious fighting Buddha, but now that you have realized your past life, are you willing to return to my seat?" In Monkey King's primordial spirit, it was as if he had been electrocuted. He suddenly saw another version of himself walking on another path on Mount Lingtai Fonsuen. He became the disciple of Subhuti, wreaked havoc in heaven, met a fated person at the foot of the Five Fingers Mountain, went to the Western Paradise to obtain scriptures and achieve perfection. In the end, he became a Buddha and enjoyed bliss. For some reason, his perfect life made him feel unreconciled, so he returned to the three realms with a bit of obsession. Karma fused and turned into a celestial stone on Mount Huagua. If he took a step forward, he would be able to realize his true self and return to his position as the victorious fighting Buddha, freeing himself from Chun Ang's coercion and schemes. However, Chun Ang just smiled at the side and didn't seem to have any intention of stopping him. Wukong suddenly smiled and pointed at R'lyeh, saying, "I, old son, have yet to break my karma, so how can I return to Buddha's seat? Why don't I calculate the karma of this obsession today, allowing me to come in peace and leave in peace?" The revered one of the world sighed. "Monkey King, after you became a Buddha, you only had one obsession, which was that you couldn't be free under the Five Fingers Mountain. You cut off another kind of carefree and unrestrained possibility. Now, because of that obsession, you invite me to fight again and return to that moment under the Five Fingers Mountain. There's nothing more to say if you lose. After being suppressed by me, you'll have to go to the Western Paradise again 500 years later. If you win, your obsession will dissipate and your karma will dissipate. Karma will fuse and karma will disperse." Sada Sada. Monkey King kowtowed to Chenong, "So Master has already seen through my origin. Only by bidding farewell to the past can I be free. If I jump out of the three realms and take that step, I will be a true individual. I will have limitless possibilities. Now that the revered one of the world is back, the three realms will never be destroyed. I will still be trapped in the past. It's rare for me to be free, so I will have to go back and become the victorious fighting Buddha. If I lose, even if I obtain the scripture 500 years later and achieve enlightenment, it will only be a past of the victorious fighting Buddha. If I win, then everything will be fused and vanish. No wonder Master always said that there are two paths that are not right. Why not create a new path?" Monkey King smiled. "But I finally know who I should swing my stick at." Then he took out the star-fixing divine metal treasure given by Chun Ang and said to the revered one of the world. Chapter 972. Old Taoist Qin Chen ascended the small hill in front of the spiritual mountain. He raised his head and saw thousands of rays of light shining on the spiritual mountain. Among the countless immortals and Buddhas, there was a Buddha with a benevolent smile on his face. In front of the great Buddha, a giant golden monkey that was tens of thousands of zhang tall appeared, particularly thin and short. It wore a phoenix feather crown on its head, a golden chain mail on its body, and a pair of lotus root cloud-walking shoes on its feet. It held a golden cudgel in both hands and stood stubbornly in front of the great Buddha, swinging its cudgel at the great Buddha's face. Its feet created deep cracks in the ground. Facing the circle of perfection, wisdom, and benevolence behind the Buddha's head, it straightened its crutch as if it was unwilling to kneel, even with the weight of the heavens on its shoulders. Monkey King, are you still unwilling to comprehend? Guanyin Bodhisattva couldn't bear to ask. Comprehend. Monkey. Neza also persuaded. What's so bad about being the victorious, fighting Buddha? Erlang Shin sighed with melancholy and regret. He was asking the Monkey King, but it was also like he was asking himself. Looking at the disdainful, solemn, or downcast gazes of the gods and Buddhas, the Monkey King only looked up to the sky and laughed. 3 figures suddenly appeared in his mind. One was a mischievous stone monkey that played in Mahuagua. With a leap, he came out of a water-curtained cave and was supported by all the monkeys. What a beautiful Monkey King! Another was an armored ferocious ape that drank the immortal peach wine and stole the old supreme, Lord's golden pill. He wore a golden chainmail and a phoenix feather purple gold crown. He commanded the demons and was known as the heaven's equal. The last one sat upright on the lotus platform. Countless golden hairs danced in the wind. He was tall and had an upright face, but there was a trace of benevolence in his eyes. He was intelligent and possessed remarkable abilities. He had a dignified appearance and wore a dark golden kasaya on his body. He looked like a benevolent and wise immortal or Buddha. If you are willing, why am I here? Monkey King asked in disappointment. If I let go of this unwillingness and comprehend myself, I will naturally be the victorious, fighting Buddha. However, if I am willing to be a Buddha, how can I be a Buddha? How can I reincarnate thousands of times and still not be able to reach perfection? The victorious fighting Buddha in his heart spoke. Put it down. In the air, Chun Ang's shadow slowly dissipated, leaving behind only a faint sigh. The call in his heart was always lingering. Clouds in the wind, it comes to me. The man in the distance was still waiting. The familiar voice was no longer there. The Monkey King lowered his head and roared. The pressure from the Buddha in front of him was getting heavier and heavier, as though there were thousands or even tens of thousands of Mount Meru. The powerful abilities that he had always relied on in the past were no longer there at this moment. His indestructible body was like a piece of paper, and his straight back was bent bit by bit. The sound of his back cracking could be heard as though he couldn't bear the weight. The Monkey King bared his teeth and roared, but his voice was already hoarse. The Tathagata Buddha sighed and said, "Foolish child." He raised his right palm and slowly pressed it down toward the Monkey King. With a loud boom, the spirit mountain under the Monkey King's feet crumbled. The Monkey King's legs felt like they were stuck in a rock and were trembling slightly. His arms were no longer as stable as Mount Tai, and they were also trembling along with his legs. The immense pressure caused the Monkey King's eyes to burst open, and tears of blood flowed down from the corners of his eyes. They dripped onto the ground. Qingchen opened his mouth. He didn't know how to describe the scene in front of him. You said that you were going to leave and would come back tomorrow? Do you still remember what you couldn't forget in the past? Turning around isn't considered a farewell, but parting can't be separated. On the Spirit Mountain, the immortals and Buddhas were silent. Amidst the Monkey King's unwilling roars, there seemed to be a voice singing. Qing Chun turned his head and saw Chun Ong leading the horse and leaving with the Spirit Mountain under the setting sun. If you meet the past me, please bring him back. Master, the Monkey King's voice was already muffled. He was unable to breathe due to the pressure, but he was still struggling to ask, when you named me, was it because he was once called the Monkey King? Chenong didn't even turn his head and said, perhaps that's the reason, but in my heart, you've long been the one and only Monkey King. The scene of the past surfaced in the Monkey King's mind. At that time, perfected Tai Ching had smiled and said, since you don't want to have the surname Lao and want to live forever, then let's have the surname Sun. Chenong also said, "You look like a talented person, but you're arrogant and unruly inside. You'd rather break than bend. In the future, you'll definitely cause great trouble. This is your innate ferocity, the willfulness of a stubborn rock, and the demonic nature that you've learned from me. You look like an ape, and I don't expect you to become a virtuous person. Breaking a stubborn rock isn't the Monkey King. From now on, you'll be called the Monkey King." At this moment, his waist had already been pressed into the shape of a tight bow, and his spine seemed like it would break at any time. The immortals and Buddhas in the sky were all worried that his tendons and bones would break, and he would collapse to the ground. However, the Monkey King faced the pressure of the Buddha's palm inch by inch and straightened his body. His eyes were red, and they were almost spewing out blood mist. He shouted word by word, breaking a stubborn rock. "Not the Monkey King. I don't understand." The star-stabilizing divine metal given by Chenong, which was made from the nucleus of an extraterrestrial star, cracked inch by inch after it was bent to the limit. The Buddha's palm that was supported by him suddenly pressed down on Goku. Neza couldn't help but cry out in alarm. Erlang Xianxing also couldn't help but take a step forward and clench his fists. Bull Demon King, who was watching from afar, widened his eyes and looked terrified. I said, "I don't understand." Wukong faced the sky and let out a long roar. He brandished the broken golden cudgel and struck the Buddha's palm. Amidst the shattered divine precious iron, countless divine splendors converged into a golden cudgel. It broke the Buddha's palm that seemed to collapse the sky and struck out a vast galaxy that caused countless space-time to collapse and countless universes to be born and destroyed. When Chenong heard this, he turned around and saw the Rui Jingu Bang in the broken star stabilizing God Metal treasure. Apocalypse. I need an unparalleled Jingu Bang. What can I trade for it? What's the key data of the experiment? What experiment? Can the Jingu Bang break Sakyamuni's head? Okay. The golden cudgel smashed onto the Buddha's palm that came crashing down from the sky. The attack that encompassed the entire three realms and the universe was completely overturned, as well as all the matter from the four major continents and the four seas and four oceans was completely torn apart by a golden hoop. The Buddha's palm was shattered by a cudgel. The golden divine ape leaped out of it. The Buddha suddenly stopped and looked at his broken palm. He sighed and said, "You win." In all directions, countless immortals and gods froze. Suddenly, Neza praised, "Fighting victorious Buddha." Guanyin Bodhisattva also solemnly praised, "Battling victorious Buddha." Instantly, countless immortals and deities from all over the world chanted, "Great Emperor equaling heaven, battling victorious Buddha." Amidst the cheers, the Monkey King stared at the Jingu Bang in his hand. He suddenly chuckled and looked back. He turned into ashes. Chapter 973. A Bodhi leaf slowly fell in front of his eyes. A pair of hairy hands held the gold-plated Jingu Bang and placed it on his knees. The dark golden patterned kasaya was draped over his left shoulder. Although he was short, he had a natural bearing. The Bodhi leaf was blown up by the wind, and the golden hair on his body also danced in the wind. From the front, the Buddha looked exactly the same as Wukong. It was just that his face was less vicious and lively, and more peaceful and detached. The 6-foot-tall monkey sat facing the Bodhi tree, surrounded by green mountains and clear waters. A monk came forward and put his palms together. The victorious fighting Buddha has reached perfection. The revered one of the world has decreed. The victorious fighting Buddha stared at the golden cudgel that he brought back from the great Thunderclap monastery. After a long silence, he said, "Is it perfection?" The monk smiled. "How is it not perfection when my obsession has been eliminated?" The victorious fighting Buddha said in disappointment, "Why perfection? The revered one of the world helped me re-enter the three realms and helped me eliminate my obsession so that I wouldn't fall from my position. In the end, he brought this cudgel back to me. But obsession is obsession. Why do I have to eliminate it by force?" The monk was puzzled, not knowing why the victorious fighting Buddha didn't show any joy when he achieved enlightenment. He could only reply, The cause and effect have been achieved. Only when all frustrations have been eliminated can I attain Bodhi. Why doesn't the victorious fighting Buddha look happy? The revered one of the world has instructed me to attain enlightenment, named victorious fighting. It's because selfishness is hard to eliminate on the path of enlightenment, and self-obsession is very deep. In the path of cultivation, one must constantly uphold the right view of non-self and fight against I want, I think, I hate, and I fear until all selfishness and preferences are overcome. Only then can one attain enlightenment and attain enlightenment. The victorious fighting Buddha heaved a sigh. But today, after witnessing that stubbornness of mine, I finally understand why there is no other possibility apart from attaining enlightenment. Why can't I persist in what I cling to, want what I want, think what I want, hate what I loathe, fear what I dread, and live a different life? 3,000 frustrations arise from nameless causes. Why seek enlightenment? Why seek enlightenment? Back when I attained enlightenment, I was unwilling, so I cut off that obsession and placed it in the past. He was already a new me. Why correct me? Why not have me? The bhikkhu was puzzled. Just as he was about to mention the Buddha's decree, the victorious fighting Buddha raised his hand to stop him. The victorious fighting Buddha placed it on his palm and smiled before blowing it away. That bit of hair flew with the wind. The Jingu bang on the victorious fighting Buddha's knees turned into a beam of golden light and landed on that hair. It was like the flowing light on the tip of the hair, falling into the unseen world. Watching the hair fly away, the victorious fighting Buddha smiled and gestured to the bhikkhu, "Don't talk about a dharmic decree. The revered one of the world's decree, but before you say it, let me know my true heart." The bhikkhu stared blankly at the strands of hair as they flew away. When he looked at the victorious fighting Buddha again, the round light had already disappeared and he had fallen out of his trance. Only after the victorious fighting Buddha fell from the Tao realm did a look of joy appear on his face. This was the true joy and peace that came from having his thoughts cleared. As he watched the hair fly away, he felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off his shoulders the instant the hair landed. Chun Ong raised his head as if he sensed something and looked into the distance. However, he only smiled. Wukong opened his eyes and saw all kinds of colors surging toward him, becoming vivid. Suddenly, it seemed as if the world had changed. Even the earthy and fishy smell coming from his mouth and nose became especially vivid. He scratched his head, but he wasn't surprised. He looked around and saw that he was covered in mud. Although he still looked like a hobo, it was as if he hadn't taken a bath for the past 3 to 4 years. He raised his head and saw that there was only a piece of sky the size of a wash basin above him. It was even half blocked by a lianhua. The rest of the sky was covered by thick rock walls with vines crawling all over them. This was a cave about the size of 2 rooms. The entrance of the cave was at the top. It was the small piece of sky that was blocked by the lianhua. The Monkey King crawled up from the ground and saw a stone tablet at the side. On it was written, Mazai Padme Hum. The Monkey King looked at it carefully for a while and went up to the stone tablet. He smiled and said, "Who wrote this?" The structure of this 6-syllable mantra is weak. The strokes are shallow. The structure is not beautiful at all, and the structure is extremely stiff. Other than being upright, there's nothing special about it. It's obviously too mediocre. No matter who left it here, I, old son, will write a new one for you. After he finished speaking, he took down the stone tablet. Just as the surrounding vines floated up and were about to whip him, Goku bared his teeth and smiled. With the point of his finger, all the vines were fixed in place. They stiffened from the inside out and stuck to the rock wall, as if they had been petrified. The Monkey King erased the 6-syllable mantra on the stone tablet and used his finger as a brush to carve it again. When he placed it on the stone tablet again, the muscles and bones were indeed strong, the structure was strict, and the strokes were extraordinary. It was all thanks to the hundreds of years of hard work he had learned from Zi Lu on how to carve bamboo slips. After Wukong finished carving, it looked left and right and discovered that there was really nothing growing in this cave. It was extremely poor, but it didn't care. It shrank its body and leaped out of the cave entrance. It came to a lotus pond surrounded by mountain rocks. It used its hand to find a few lotus heads and lay on the protruding rocks. It admired the bright moonlight while nibbling on the lotus heads and peeling off the lotus seeds to eat. In the past few days, Goku would sometimes cruise in the surrounding mountain forests, picking peaches and wild fruits, traversing between the mountains, and sometimes lying in the empty cave, reviewing what he had learned and concluding his experience. He was quite free and unfettered. He didn't think about why he was here. He only thought that the opportunity prepared by his master hadn't arrived, so he wouldn't leave this place. This allowed him to taste a trace of the carefree and unrestrained days in the mountain of flowers and fruits. Far away from the mountains, in a famous city, a fat man with big ears was explaining to a new exorcist, Chen Xuanzang. This monster's original name is Zhu Ganglai. He is as ugly as a pig, but he is an affectionate person. He is extremely infatuated with his wife, but his wife despised him for being ugly and committed adultery with a beautiful man. She even conspired with a nine-toothed rake to beat him to death. He loved her so much that he became a demon due to the accumulated resentment. He swore to kill all the women in the world who loved beautiful men. Chen Xuanzang sighed. So he's also a pitiful person. Not far away from them, there was a group of people watching them coldly. One of the coquettish women said to the man behind her, "Isn't this world a little too dangerous?" That Zhu Ganglai is just a soul that was killed by a mortal. Because of his resentment, he actually became such a powerful monster. The Zhu Ganglai in this world isn't the reincarnation of Marshal Tian Peng. We 6 veterans can't even deal with him. How strong is the Monkey King? With Chen Xuanzang here, we can't kill those 3 monsters. The man took a deep breath and slowly exhaled smoke rings. I suspect that Chen Xuanzang's master is the Buddha. With his appearance, we can't help but be suspicious. So, Chen Xuanzang must not be touched. He has comprehended the great love of the world. The main plot of the journey to the West to seek for Buddhist scriptures must not be messed up. Otherwise, I'm afraid there will be an earth-shattering Buddha's palm slapping on us. The main mission for us to enter the plot world using the Hunter Examination Invitation Letter is to become an exorcist and gain the recognition of the 3 great exorcists. Then, we will become mercenaries, exorcists, hunters, witch hunters, and Grimm are all mercenaries. In the future, when we do Western fantasy plot missions, we will gain the friendship of the mercenary camp. Don't think about participating in Chen Xuanzang's main mission. If I'm not wrong, only by gaining the recognition of the great exorcists and becoming exorcists can we come into contact with Chen Xuanzang and participate in his mission to subdue the 3 monsters. Last time, when we helped him deal with the fish monster, we were still interrupted by Miss Duan. Our relationship with him didn't increase at all. If we want to participate in the main plot, we have to gain the recognition of the exorcists. Speaking of which, the timing of this batch of mercenary profession certification is a little strange. A young man dressed like a scholar stroked his chin and said, "There are so many missions for the mercenary profession certification. The Chunin exam, the Hunter exam, and even the Van Helsing series of the Church's exorcist certification aren't difficult. Why did so many mercenary profession certification props appear when the journey to the West, conquering the demon's mission came out? The difficulty of the Westward Journey Exorcist mission is a little too much. For such a difficult mission item, it's either ridiculously cheap or ridiculously expensive. Usually, when it's cheap, someone will deliberately release it to trick some cannon fodder to come and die. But there are many people who come in, and no one disturbs Monk Sha and Zhu Gonglia's mission. Who said there is no one? Aren't those reincarnators who are competing with us for the fish monster, Monk Sha, humans? A ruffian young man retorted. The young man, dressed like a scholar, shook his head and said, "This kind of intense competition is not interference at all. There must be a powerful force suppressing those restless reincarnators who want to interfere with the main storyline." He concluded, "Then what is their goal? To attract a large group of cannon fodder and suppress them from interfering with the first 2 storylines. Could it be that they want to attack the Monkey King? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. The Monkey King? Impossible, that's impossible. The Monkey King in the Westward Journey Exorcist mission is probably stronger than the original. Who would dare to attack such a monster? Do they want to die? That's the king of demons, the Monkey King. It seems like the original story doesn't exist in the realm at all. The Monkey King is strong, but it's not impossible if the monsters in the realm join in. The coquettish woman retorted, and the rewards are huge. I remember that the demoness of Team Beauty became as strong as a monster in the Tang Dynasty. You mean the Tang Dynasty that the primordial demon invaded in the divine armament world? The young man dressed like a scholar sneered. The Wind Chaser's Kirin warrior god, Luli, used the small holy grail to create the War of the Heshabi and used the 9 blood battles as a sacrifice to change the entire world. This triggered the hidden background of the divine armament in the Tang Dynasty and created the demoness and Kirin warrior god. The War of the Heshabi is known as one of the 3 classic cases where the wise used tools to create the plot. How could I not study it? The young man's eyes sparkled with wisdom. He thought intensely while organizing his thoughts. Speaking of which, this world also seems to have a hidden background, and it's obvious that the clue is the plot of the Westward Journey. But the monsters in the Westward Journey Exorcists are much stronger than the original Westward Journey. So what's the purpose of triggering this hidden background? The Exorcists in the Westward Journey Exorcist mission are very special. The Monkey King is the ultimate villain and one of the main characters. Logically speaking, it's impossible to touch him. Otherwise, the Buddha's palm might have landed on you. Chapter 974. While they were talking, the fat monk had finished explaining many things to Tang Xuanzang. Finally, he exhorted, "Also, that Monkey King is fierce, cunning, and sinister. His hatred is too deep. You have to be careful. On the other side of the mountain and the other side of the sea, the vicious, cunning, and sinister Sun Wukong was gnawing on a green peach. There were barren hills and gravel all around him, and sand was blowing in his face. Sun Wukong's hair was stuck together, and dirt was falling from his body. The mountains and rivers here were barren. Except for this lotus pond, the nearest forest was at least 100 miles away. The Yellow Mountain was full of rocks and cliffs, and not a single blade of grass grew on it. The Five-Finger Mountain, which was suppressing the Monkey King, was in the northwest desert. Old son, I've already searched all the peach trees that are slightly closer." The Monkey King gnawed on the peach and complained. Master didn't finish his words. He said that someone fated would come to see me with fruits and told me not to go far. But he didn't mention when the fated person would come. Fortunately, Qin Xuanzang didn't let him wait for too long. After a short dispute with Miss Duan and witnessing a group of exorcists fighting over Zhu Ganglai, Qin Xuanzang finally set foot on the path to find the Five-Finger Mountain. He walked through thousands of mountains and crossed 3 rivers, getting closer to the Five-Finger Mountain bit by bit. A group of reincarnators surrounded him from time to time. The strongest among them even showed their faces when the exorcists were fighting over Zhu Ganglai. Qin Xuanzang was familiar with them. Of course, their identities were arranged by the Master God to be exorcists who had been famous for a long time. They were not like the small teams that relied on mercenary identification tools to enter, and their identities were just new exorcists who wanted to stand out. Just as Qin Xuanzang approached the Five-Finger Mountain, the old temple that enshrined the 1,300 feet tall, 2,560 feet wide Buddha statue welcomed a few uninvited guests. A mysterious man dressed in black stood in front of the stone basin and stared at the Buddha statue in front of him. An Indian hostage with a headscarf behind him asked, "Yama, you called us here, but you only care about showing off here. I, Ramal Khan, will definitely accompany you to the end. I heard that the king of song and dance, Ramal Khan's Chinese, is at level 8. Seeing him today, he is indeed extraordinary." Pretentious prick. If you have something to say, then spit it out. Ramal Khan did not appreciate his kindness and questioned him directly. A foreigner dressed in Taoist attire beside him, with a high nose and deep eyes, also spoke in pure Xiangxi dialect. "That's right, I'm doing the quest for Mr. Emptiness." He was about to get the demon-subduing sword. I don't have time to waste with you here. The famous Reverend Hans, a Western Taoist priest who taught himself the Black Miao dialect with great perseverance in order to learn Xiangxi's art of venomous poison, would actually be interested in Mr. Emptiness' petty gains? The black-clothed man, Zhuang Baifan, smiled and said, even with the closed and xenophobic world of China, Taoist Hans was still able to walk a path of cultivation. It really makes us, the native-born Chinese, feel ashamed. I think Taoist Master Hans should have polished his temper when facing those eccentric experts. Why are you still so impatient? Without waiting for Taoist Hans to refute, another Japanese who had been on Myoji for most of his life said in a sinister voice, it's not that Taoist Hans is too impatient, but you have a notorious history of pretentiousness. Who doesn't know of your unique style of pretentiousness, forced conversation, stiff pretentiousness, and constantly changing the topic? If we don't change the topic back, you can talk to us here for the whole night. Zhuang Baifan still wanted to speak, but he was immediately stopped by Ramal Khan, who said, enough with the idle talk. Why did you ask us to come here? Looking at the group of people who were waiting for him to change the topic, Zhuang Baifan had no choice but to be concise. Zhuang Baifan had no choice but to succinctly say, you are all top-notch experts of the Master God space, experts who have broken through the divine gate. Surely you didn't come to this world just to increase Mr. Emptiness's favorability and earn 1 or 2 demon-slaying flying swords. His eyes were bright, as if he wanted to force out the secrets hidden in the hearts of everyone present. However, these people were all experienced old foxes, and each of them appeared very calm. Taoist Hans even said with a smile, I have long admired the flying sword technique of Greater China. Unfortunately, the most orthodox sword celestial class-changing world in the realm, legend of Shu Mountain, went berserk and was destroyed, so I could only come here to try my luck. I didn't expect Mr. Emptiness's flying sword technique to be so extraordinary, and I yearn for it. That's good, Zhuang Baifan said with a sneer. Since you're not interested in the Monkey King battle, then when my team is fighting the Monkey King, please don't do anything that will easily cause misunderstandings. As soon as this was said, the powerhouses from Northern Europe could not hold it in anymore. The man who looked like a violent bear was hot-tempered, and he immediately said stiffly, just because you say it's yours, it's yours? Sun Wukong's storyline mission belonged to everyone. It wasn't something that could be monopolized by just anyone. Do you think you're a large-scale online game guild? Even if we agree, Ramal Khan said with a sneer. Do you dare to believe it? Zhuang Baifan immediately said, if you dare to agree, I dare to believe it. If you dare to believe, I dare to agree. Then agree to it. Show me the letter first. Just as the two of them were entangled, a bespectacled magician who was watching from the side suddenly said, enough. When everyone quieted down, he said coldly, everyone should be well aware of the purpose of coming here. If it wasn't for the appearance of the plot artifact in Westward Journey, released to restrain the Monkey King, and someone designed a special strategy to deal with the Monkey King, there is a high possibility that the super difficult mission in Westward Journey Exorcist would be completed, and even the hidden background of Westward Journey Exorcist would be developed. Then, all of you wouldn't be running here like cats smelling fish. Ramal Khan said with a smile, Magician, you are really honest. That's right, everyone is here for the strategy. The reason why Westward Journey Exorcist is said to be an unsolvable plot world is not because the Monkey King is too strong, but because the Buddha's palm is too buggy. Buddha is too King strong. Immortal Hans said in a Xiangxi dialect, he is one of the strongest plot characters in the plot world. Even the big snake is beaten up, but no one dares to beat Buddha. If the main plot of Westward Journey Exorcist is messed up, who can take it? The group of reincarnators whispered to each other, it's a plot kill. No one can save him. Not even the gods can save him. That damn fatty from the food market has been graffiti for a few reincarnations, and no one dares to provoke him. Isn't it because they are afraid that he is Buddha? Several reincarnators have been fighting him for a few cycles. They just want to cheat him out of something. Those Southeast Asian reincarnated couldn't even straighten their backs when they saw that fatty. What a disgrace to us reincarnators. You still dare to talk about us? How good are you chickens? When they see him, this part is vague. Don't they all want to hug his thighs? Among the major religions in the space, the Buddhist faction is only second to the Taoist faction and the God faction. Speaking of which, the Protestant Church was defeated by the Catholic Church in space. Nonsense, he is the real son, and the new stream is the stepmother. It's mainly because of the church. Zhuang Baifan, stop changing the topic. Magician's face darkened as he explained. According to the analysis of the wise ones, the only way to interfere with the main plot of the westward journey without being punished by Buddha is through the words westward journey. He had to uncover the hidden storyline of westward journey. In other words, returning to the original work. Only the plot that appeared in the original work would be approved by Buddha. Therefore, Chen Xuanzang had to go to westward journey, and the trio of Monkey King, Zhu Ganglai, and Monk Sand had to go to westward journey. It's almost impossible to kill Monkey King. Unless the monkey heart has two minds, and the real and fake Monkey King. Zhuang Baifan added. Therefore, the birth of the demon revealing mirror in the journey to the west, which can reflect the demonic and demonic natures and distinguish between good and evil, is the key. The main reason why no one has been able to advance the plot from the journey to the west. Conquering demons to the west. The legend of slaying demons and slaying demons is because of Sun Wukong's personality. The demonic Monkey King played by Huang Bo was too different from the divine and human-like Monkey King. So, you analyze that if we borrowed the power of the demon-revealing mirror to sever Sun Wukong's two hearts and split Sun Wukong into good and evil sides, we would be able to obtain Tathagata's permission and kill the evil ape Sun Wukong. It's 6 ears macaque. The difficulty of Westward Journey's plot is too low, but the difficulty of Westward Journey is way beyond that. Someone questioned. A low difficulty plot item would be greatly weakened if it was used in a high difficulty plot. That's why I invited you guys. Magician said proudly. The Japanese Onmyoji Abe Saimai, who owns one of the King of Fighters' 3 artifacts, the Yagami Mirror, the Chinese cultivator Zhuang Baifan, who owns the Yagami Mirror, and Han Jinren. Jinren, your idea of turning the mirror into an artifact is very dangerous. I don't know how useful it will be if you can't blame me for wasting it. Han Jinren said innocently. It's because it only recognizes witches. Indian Ramal Khan said self-consciously. I have the Ganges sand mirror that was born when the great Azura stirred the milk sea. Magician paused, then continued. There's also a demon-revealing mirror in this world. You mean the one in Demon Subduing, where Monkey King showed Chen Xuanzang, the white-bone demon. There's also the demon-revealing mirror used by the exorcists. The combined power of these demon-revealing mirrors is enough to divide Monkey King into good and evil, creating 6 ears macaque. When that time comes, we'll kill 6 ears macaque. Not only will we gain a lot, but we'll also be able to enter the second part of the plot, Magician concluded. Zhuang Baifan's eyes flickered, and after a long time, he said, We can work together. We can also help you uncover the hidden factors of this world. But how will we split the profits? Before it's done, we'll work together. After it's done, it'll be up to fate, Magician said. All right. The few of them agreed, but they were laughing coldly in their hearts. It's up to fate. Chapter 975. After some discussion, Zhuang Baifan brought Abe no Haruaki and Ramalkhan to the Monkey King storyline. The Five Fingers Mountain was right in front of the old temple. With the reincarnator's rare divine gate expert's leg strength, it only took a few breaths for them to traverse half of the 3,000-meter-tall stone mountain. They could already see the lotus pond in the stone Buddha's hand from afar. Zhuang Baifan suddenly seemed to have thought of something and said in a low voice, Wait, I'm afraid it's not good for us to go empty-handed like this. Ramal Khan rolled his eyes and said helplessly, So, Chen Xuanzang even knew to bring 2 caddies of fruits when he went to see the Monkey King. The Monkey King is a big shot after all. It's impolite of us to do this. Zhuang Baifeng said to the two, "Stay here and don't move. I'll buy some oranges." Ramelkhan was speechless. Pretentious prick, what kind of situation is this? Are you very happy to be mischievous? Zhuang Baifeng flipped his right hand, and a bag of oranges appeared. He said to the two, "Let's go." Seeing that he actually prepared oranges, the two were speechless. They could only follow Zhuang Baifeng and carry the oranges towards the rock in the lotus pond. When they reached the rock, they saw a cave entrance. It was right under a lotus plant. The entrance was mostly covered by the lotus leaves. If it didn't get close, they wouldn't be able to see it. They carefully pushed the lotus leaves aside. This was Rulai's seal on the Monkey King. If it was accidentally broken, it would be a big problem. The three lowered their bodies and ducked into the cave. As soon as they landed, they came face to face with a muddy monkey covered in yellow soil. The three were shocked. They saw that the monkey's fur was stuck together. Before they got close, a thick, earthy smell assaulted their nostrils. It looked like a cultural relic that had just been unearthed. Before they could figure out why the Monkey King wasn't in human form, but in his original form, the Monkey King said, since we're already here, why do we bring fruits? The Immortal's Cave is simple and crude, and the conditions of my humble abode are not good. Come, please sit, please sit. As he spoke, he led them to the front of the stone table in the cave. Zhuang Baifeng and the others didn't dare to show off anymore. They sat down obediently and said, "Hello, Mr. Sun. I've heard a lot about you. Please forgive me for taking the liberty to pay you a visit." The Monkey King placed his hands on his thighs and sat cross-legged on the stone bench. He smiled and said, "It's been a long time since someone came to my place. There was nothing to entertain guests. Please don't take it to heart if I've neglected you. Are you new exorcists?" "Yes, we are the new generation of exorcists. We have long heard of Mr. Sun's great reputation as the king of demons, so we have come to visit and ask for advice on the way to exorcise demons," Zhuang Baifeng explained as he placed the orange on the table. "I haven't participated in exorcism for a long time." The Monkey King shook his head. "My experience is too outdated. I'm afraid I can't help you. However, I have some exorcism magic treasures and tools that I left behind. Sigh. They were left behind by the previous exorcists who came to subdue me. Why don't you pick a few and take them away?" "What do you mean, Mr. Sun?" Zhuang Baifeng pretended to be confused. The Monkey King pointed at the stone tablet that was wrapped in vines and said, "For example, that stone tablet with the 6-word Great Radiance spell. That was left behind by Buddha. I thought the words on it were too badly engraved, so I carved it again. However, I can tell you that the effect is definitely not bad. I have read it once in the scripture hall of Mount Numinous, so I know the Sanzang Sutra by heart. As a Buddhist scholar, I guarantee that this magic treasure is absolutely good, absolutely wonderful, so wonderful that it's screaming. If the previous exorcists had these things, I wouldn't have killed so many people." Zhuang Baifeng moved closer to take a look and use the God Appraisal spell. The result was 6-word Great Radiance spell seal. Because he didn't own it, this was the only result he could get. Zhuang Baifeng said to his two temporary teammates through the temporary team channel, "Is this thing the seal, or is the Lianhua at the cave entrance the seal?" From the plot, it seems that this was used by the Monkey King to paralyze Chen Xuanzong. However, when the Monkey King tried to touch this thing, he ended up being whipped by the seal in the cave and begged for mercy. It seems that this thing is not simple. It might be another key to the seal. Lianhua is one, and this is another. It's better not to act rashly, Abe no Saimai replied. The three of them looked at it carefully for a long time, admiring the 6-word Great Radiant spell that might have been handwritten by Buddha. They held a tiny hope that they could comprehend the true meaning of Buddhism from it. One of them was an Indian cultivator, one was a cultivator, and the last was on Myoji. They were all systems that were closely related to Buddhism. Even if they could comprehend a tiny bit of Buddhism from it, it would be a great harvest. Unfortunately, after looking at it for a long time, other than observing that the calligraphy on the steel was extraordinary, the bones were strong, and the structure was rigorous, there was nothing else. The Monkey King chimed in from the side. "How is it? Isn't it extraordinary?" Zhuang Baifeng could only refuse. It's good, but unfortunately, we don't have enough money to buy it. That's true. The Monkey King crossed his legs, changed his expression, and said contemptuously, "You came to see me, an old senior in the exorcism world, the leader of the demons, but you only brought 2 caddies of oranges. Everyone knows that you don't have money. You guys aren't putting me in your eyes. It's me, the Monkey King, who can't lift my sword. Or are you newbies in the exorcism world too arrogant?" The 3 of them had never thought that there would be such a turn of events. They were immediately stunned. The Monkey King sighed. "It seems that I haven't been in the pugilistic world for too long. The pugilistic world has already forgotten about my legend. Who am I? Do you guys still know?" Zhuang Baifeng felt inexplicably nervous and stuttered. "You're the Monkey King who wreaked havoc in the heavens. The Monkey King. Who doesn't know? Who doesn't know? And you guys only brought 2 caddies of oranges?" The Monkey King slapped the table and said, "And 3 of them are rotten." Ramilkhan pulled on Zhuang Baifen's sleeve and whispered, "Why are there still rotten ones?" "I don't know. It's none of my business. I'm innocent." Zhuang Baifen denied 3 times and said in the team channel, "I saw Chen Xuanzong buying fruits, so I bought 2 caddies of oranges on the side of the road. Anyway, the things in the storage ring won't spoil. Who knew that the hearts of this world are so black that even the fruits sold to me, who looks like a ruthless character, are rotten?" The Monkey King said angrily, "You exorcists, you think you're capable after subduing a few little demons and monsters, and your wings have hardened. You can even joke with a big shot like me? What do you mean by buying oranges? When I, the Monkey King, was in the underworld, I carried an iron rod and swept it from the Milky Way road to the southern heavenly gate. I smashed everything I saw and beat anyone I saw. Do you guys know about the heavenly court? The Jade Emperor is so much higher than you guys. I still smash his face. Buddha Tathagata was such a powerful person, but I broke his arm with 1 strike. Years ago, when he was at the spiritual mountain, I smashed his golden body and broke it. You guys are so naughty." The Monkey King slapped Zhuang Baifen. Zhuang Baifen couldn't dodge in time and was hit on the head. He was stunned. The Monkey King laughed coldly and said, "You guys are so naughty." With a few slaps, the 3 of them were flustered and at a loss of what to do. They were chased out just like that. In the cold wind, the 3 of them stood at the entrance of the cave, still in a daze. Zhuang Baifen was stunned and said, "We were kicked out." Just as he finished his sentence, a shoe flew out from the cave and hit his butt. The Monkey King's voice came from inside. "Get lost. Get lost." The 3 of them could only return to the cave. On the way, Zhuang Baifen was puzzled and said, "This is not normal. Didn't the Monkey King want to escape? We delivered ourselves to him, and at first, he wanted to make use of us. Why did he turn his back on us?" In the cave, the Monkey King took out a tangerine and opened it. He mumbled, "Bringing 2 caddies of tangerines to me and pretending to be a fated person. Do you really think that I, old son, can't predict? It's a waste this time. The next time a fated person comes, I'll have to change my plan." On the morning of the 2nd day, Chan Xuanzong found the old temple that his master had told him about. With the help of the moon's reflection, he finally understood where the Buddha statue was. He climbed all the way to the 5-Finger Mountains and finally saw the lotus pond at dusk. At first glance, he saw Wu Kong eating an orange at the entrance of the cave. Chapter 976. At this moment, it was already close to dusk, and a dark red sunset glow floated up from the horizon. The glow of the sunset sprinkled onto this desolate mountain and wilderness, and it added a trace of an illusory aura to the lotus pond amidst the rocky beach. A few reincarnators appeared in the old temple in the distance. Watching Chan Xuanzong and son Wu Kong meeting from afar, Zhuang Baifen's beautiful face turned pale with fright. His eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. He opened his mouth wide and said in astonishment, "Son Wu Kong can walk out of that cave?" "I don't think so," Ramilkhan said hesitantly. "It's still the entrance of the cave. Maybe Buddha intentionally let it out?" Magician was also surprised. "But," Zhuang Baifen said hesitantly, "then how can a Monkey King trick Chen Xuanzong into breaking Lianhua?" He can't use the excuse of not seeing the moon for a long time. The plot is completely messed up. We should believe in the cunning of the Monkey King. Magician said hesitantly. He should have a way. Abe, no, Simai laughed coldly. Don't you still have us? If there's really no other way, we can go and undo the seal. That will increase the risk. Magician frowned. He thought for a long time, then raised his head and said, we can't rely on the plot to prepare. Ever since we appeared beside Chen Xuanzong, the plot has started to change. If anyone thinks that they won't die by following the plot, then they should die as soon as possible. Don't drag us down. Fortunately, we don't rely on the plot to act. Abe no Simai laughed. Everyone here is an elite in the God realm. It's not like we haven't experienced a complete collapse of the plot. In fact, isn't it normal for the realm to seek change? Chen Xuanzong was also shocked. He stared at the slightly embarrassed monkey in front of him and said hesitantly, you are Mr. Sun? Yes. Monkey King said calmly. You are also here to find the Monkey King. That's right, I am. Chen Xuanzong laughed dryly and said, Mr. Sun's image seems to be a little bit different from the rumors. The Monkey King sighed and said, when did I wear the lotus silk cloud walking boots, wear the golden chainmail, and wear the purple gold phoenix feather crown? I didn't expect everyone to think that I'm not the Monkey King when they see me now. What business do you have with me? Hello, Mr. Sunday. My surname is Chun, and I'm an unranked Mahayana disciple, Chen Xuanzong. Chen Xuanzong cupped his fists and said. The Monkey King glanced at the fruits on Chen Xuanzong's back and said, oh, so it's Mr. Chun. Please come in, please come in. As he spoke, he jumped into the cave. Chen Xuanzong also jumped into the cave and disappeared from the eyes of the reincarnators. At the same stone table, Chen Xuanzong explained, I'm here to ask you to teach me a method to subdue the pig demon. Zhu Gangqi? Monkey King asked. Chen Xuanzong nodded and said, it's very demonic and has killed countless people. We can't do anything about it, so I came to ask you for advice. I'm familiar with Zhu Gangqi. Monkey King patted his chest and said, it's my little brother. How about this? I'll give you face. Tell me a place, and I'll tell it not to go there anymore. Although I haven't been a big boss for many years, I think it'll still give me face. Chen Xuanzong didn't expect it to agree so readily. However, he was a compassionate Buddhist after all. He didn't want to temporarily eliminate a disaster, but to enlighten the pig demon. He quickly rejected and said, Mr. Sun, it's like this. I'm not here to chase the pig demon away. If it goes to other places, it will still harm people. I want to awaken the truth and beauty in its heart so that it won't harm people anymore. Awaken the truth and beauty in people's heart. Monkey King said awkwardly, I'm not very good at this. I usually use the golden cudgel to persuade them, physically. Awaken the truth and beauty in people and demons' hearts. People from the Mahayana monastery are more knowledgeable. Are you looking for the wrong person to find me? I want to ask you to teach me how to subdue the pig demon. After subduing the pig demon, I will use my wisdom and awareness to awaken the truth, kindness, and beauty in its heart. Chen Xuanzong originally wanted to take out the 300 Nursery Songs book, but when he touched his chest, he realized that the book had been torn by Miss Duan. Monkey King said awkwardly, this Zhu Gangqi was cuckolded. Now you want to learn to forgive. In my opinion, this kind of thing is a little too much. Otherwise, you should just kill it. Otherwise, you should just beat it to death. At least it called me Big Boss. I can't do this kind of thing. Forgiveness has to come from the heart and accept it. What's the point of being forced to forgive by others? I know, Zhu Gangqi is still in love with his wife. In his heart, he still loves his wife. How about this? You go and reason with him. Let him get over this hurdle and learn to forgive. Chen Xuanzong said awkwardly, it will kill me, Mr. Sunday. Then there's nothing I can do. Fortunately, when I was the Monkey King, I knew a few people from the Mahayana monastery. They are good at forgiving and being forgiven. I will give you an address. You can go and find them. Look, Monkey King touched the yellow soil on the ground and wrote a few lines on Chen Xuanzong's sleeve. Chen Xuanzong looked down and saw Guanyin Bodhisattva Loggia Mountain, Purple Bamboo Forest, Tathagata Buddha, Great Hall of Great Thunderclap Monastery, Dragon Subduing Arhat, Hangzhou Lingyin Temple. 500 years later, Chen Xuanzong said awkwardly, "Mr. Sun, these bodhisattvas and Buddhas live too far away. I don't know when I can come back if I go and find them. By then, the pig demon will have killed many people." Monkey King slapped his thigh and said, I said that they are too detached from the masses. If they live so far away, how can they worry about the masses? If they want to save the masses, they can't be too far away from them. In this way, they have opened up a channel for letters and visits. You can go down the mountain and find a temple to pray to and see if you can move them. Chen Xuanzong felt that it was reasonable. However, he remembered his master's instructions and asked, "Mr. Sun, do you really have no other way?" Monkey King pointed at the stone table and asked, "Even if I help you, what benefits will I get? You can't expect me to work so hard just for a few kilograms of bananas, right?" Chen Xuanzong said seriously, "Mr. Sun, you must have committed too many sins to be locked up here by the Buddhas. If you continue to save the masses and help them, I believe that one day the Buddhas will understand your enlightenment and let you out." Monkey King asked, "I'm locked up here? Was I locked up here? Do you know why I was called the Monkey King back then?" Monkey King pointed at his nose and asked. Chen Xuanzong shook his head. "If you don't know, how dare you spout nonsense? Back then, I was free and unfettered on Mount Huagua. Then, the Heavenly Court sent people down and said that I had a small property right. They wanted to demolish Mount Huagua to build a new immortal cave abode. They didn't even give me compensation. They even sent Li Jing's demolition team. How could I tolerate that? Of course not. So, I invited friends from all over the world and a group of people who were going to be demolished to resist the demolition at Mount Huagua for 7 days and 7 nights. I defeated many immortals from the Heavenly Court. Therefore, the brothers in the Tao call me the Great Sage, Heaven's Equal. Then, the Heavenly Court was shameless. Seeing that I was unyielding, he invited Buddha from the highest court in Mount Huagua to mediate. I foolishly believed him. Buddha Tathagata told me, "Sign it. I'll give you a house in Mount Huagua first and give you a series of compensation." Then I signed it. The compensation was this house that claimed to have 3,000 acres of orchards and 1,000 miles of beach, a brand new Gold Coast, a prosperous scene in Chang'an, 300,000 acres of primeval forest, a luxurious cave abode with 5,000 square kilometers of living space. Later, I found out that the Heavenly Court forcefully demolished Mount Huagua because they sold the land to the Mount Huagua Real Estate Development Group. Now, what about the facilities promised by the developers? My private beach? My 5,000 acres of orchards? My 5,000 square kilometers of living space? Oh, that's true, but it's all a F***king place. In this luxurious Immortal's Cave, Goku spread out his hand, indicating the cave with only 4 walls, and asked, "It's this kind of broken place." Mr. Sun, Chen Xuanzong didn't know what to say. "After I help you subdue the pig demon, you don't have to do anything else. Just fulfill the promised facilities." Monkey King waved his hand. "Mr. Sun, I can't do that." Chen Xuanzong was in a difficult position. "Then go and find someone who can do it. Go and find Buddha. After all, you're part of the Mount Huagua system. You should be able to help me appeal. First, make the sea view and flood the 5-Finger Mountain. If it wasn't for the sea view cave abode, why would the people of Ally Nation move here?" Monkey King pointed at the 5-Finger Mountain and said, "Mr. Sun, this is the hinterland of the Tang Empire. If you want the sea view, you need to flood half of the Nanjiang continent. Many people will die. I don't care. Either you return Mount Huagua to me." Monkey King crossed his legs and said, "Mr. Sun, you're putting me in a difficult position." Chen Xuanzong didn't even want to ask about the method to subdue the pig demon. "If I want to find Buddha, why would I ask you?" "It's easy if you want to find Buddha. First, you can ask him about the method to subdue the pig demon. Second, also help me ask about the facilities of the 5-Finger Mountain." Monkey King replied, When Buddha came to me to mediate, he gave me a name card with his contact details on it. Then why didn't Mr. Sun ask him yourself? Chen Xuanzang asked. Monkey King sighed. It's always Kasayapa who answers the calls. Buddha is either in a Dharma assembly or on his way to the assembly. You're part of the system, so you might be able to reach the Tao. Chen Xuanzang put his palms together and said, Then give me Buddha's contact details. Goku questioned, You can't forget it. I definitely won't forget, Mr. Sunday. You say it as if you haven't forgotten. Wukong muttered. He pointed at the 6-word Great Light Mantra stele and said, That is Buddha's business card. Take it to the moonlight and read the 6 words. When the dark clouds around the moonlight disperse, it means that someone has answered your call and you can contact Buddha. Chen Xuanzang looked at it for a long time and suddenly said, Mr. Sun, is this the seal that Buddha used to suppress you? Monkey King's expression changed unpredictably. He grimaced and said, I told you to take it, so you took it. But you didn't want to take it and even doubted me for no reason. I was kind enough to guide you, but you doubted me. Since you doubted me, don't come here and ask me to guide you. This name card is not a big deal. I used to think that the words on it were too ugly, and I even carved them again. Since you doubt me, then just memorize the incantation on it. You don't have to take the stele. Anyway, this is just a name card. Remember the number. The incantation can also be used. Don't tell me I lied to you about the incantation. Chen Xuanzang was still doubtful. Will the seal lose its effect when I recite the incantation? The 6 words Great Light Mantra is very widespread. Monkey King shook his head and said, You are also a disciple of Buddhism. You should be able to recognize it. But I can't rule out. Chen Xuanzang wanted to explain. Monkey King interrupted him and said, That's enough. Why do you keep blabbering on and on? If Buddha wants to seal me, why would he set up a seal that can be easily broken? Is he playing with me or you? I know I'm a talent, but between a talent and an employer, it is a two-way choice, right? I can't just go and get the scriptures just because you asked me to. What did you say, Mr. Sun? Chen Xuanzang asked doubtfully. Don't mind what I said. Hurry up and break the seal. Oh no, it's to contact Buddha. I misspoke just now. Go and contact Buddha and ask for the method to deal with the pig demon. Also, help me settle the compensation for the demolition. You just said that the seal has been broken. Chen Xuanzang said seriously. Chapter 977. You did. Chen Xuanzang said seriously. I heard it clearly. You said don't mind what I say. Go up and undo the seal. I changed it later. What I say isn't important. What's important is whether you're willing to give it a try. Monkey King shrugged. You just have to go up there, face the moonlight, and chant. Mani Mani Padme Hum. Really? Chen Xuanzang asked doubtfully. Monkey King sighed helplessly. I see you still don't believe me. Since you don't want to chant the 6-syllable mantra left here, let's change it. I remember that the way to contact Guanyin is Maha Prajna Permitha. You can also chant it. Jiti Jiti, Permitha Jiti, Permitha Jiti, Permitha Jiti. And the way to contact Malvarakana, Lin Bing Do Zhe, all in formation. You can choose anyone. Chen Xuanzang asked doubtfully. I've learned the 9 syllables mantra and Prajna Permitha mantra before. Can I really contact Buddha by chanting them? Of course you can't read it. You need a device that can let Buddha receive your request. For example, this 6-word Great Light incantation stele is a business card left here by Buddha. You can read it, and you will be right. Goku pointed to the stele placed in the corner of the cave. Chen Xuanzang looked at it for a long time and shook his head. Mr. Sun, I feel that this is Buddha's seal to suppress you. Goku said sternly, So you don't believe me? I believe you. Chen Xuanzang turned his head and saw Miss Duan jumping down from above. He couldn't help but feel a headache as he said, Why did you follow me here? Duan Ling Tian's eyes lit up. I realize that you're a little mysterious. People who don't look like good people often appear around you. I'm worried about you, so I followed you. Miss Duan said, We have serious matters to discuss now. It's related to subduing the pig demon. Go away. Chen Xuanzang waved his hand. I have serious matters to discuss now. I'm not here to bother you. Miss Duan said helplessly. I've been following you for the past few days. Do you still remember the day when we encountered the pig demon and the mysterious exorcists? I went back and checked. Although I've heard of their names among the exorcists, no one has actually encountered them. Later, I was worried about you, so I secretly followed behind you. I discovered that someone was also following you. It should be related to those exorcists. I know you're here to look for the Monkey King, and I suspect that someone is trying to find the king of the demons, the Monkey King, through you. Find a Monkey King. Chen Xuanzang glanced at the Monkey King, who was pretending not to hear anything, and asked, "Why are they looking for the Monkey King?" "For 500 years, no one has ever found the Monkey King," Miss Duan said solemnly. "But in this world, only Mr. Sun is recognized as the king of the fiendish demons." The Monkey King said modestly, "It's just SOSO. A hero doesn't boast about his past achievements. I've only killed a few deities, caused chaos in the heavenly palace, and broke one of Rulai's hands. Although I'm no longer in the pugilistic world, there are still legends about me everywhere." Exorcists focus on exorcism. The reason why so many people want to subdue the pig demon isn't because they want to help the people, but because the families of the people who were killed by the pig demon put up a bounty. If they can subdue the pig demon, they can gain fame and fortune. That's why so many people are here. This is just a pig demon. What if it's the king of the demons, the Monkey King? But the Monkey King has been locked up here for 500 years. The people he killed should be long dead. There shouldn't be any bounty, right? Chen Xuanzong said doubtfully. Hey, what you said is wrong. When did I kill mortals?" The Monkey King said with a smile, "In my life, I've only swung my stick at the strong and never the weak. Do you think I'm a coward like Zhu Ganglai? He earned his fame by killing mortals, but I, the Monkey King, earned my fame by smashing the southern heavenly gate to the cloudy palace of the Golden Arches with a steel pipe in my hand. I'm not exaggerating at all. Sun Wukong is the king of fiendish demons. Only an exorcist who subdued the king of fiendish demons can be called the king of exorcists," Miss Duan said solemnly. "For the sake of this reputation, many exorcists can disregard it." "You're saying Chen Xuanzong was shocked. Someone wants to release the Monkey King. I don't know, but someone is indeed guiding us here. Mr. Emptiness, Heaven's Leg Breaker, and Tiger Form Fist are nearby. The pig demon has also been lured to the Five Fingers Mountain. In another day, it will be the night of the full moon. If they discover this place, they won't let the Monkey King go." "I think so. You don't have to worry too much. It's still uncertain who will let the other go," the Monkey King said with a smile. "Then we must not let them take down the 6-word stone tablet of the Great Radiance incantation," Chen Xuanzong said seriously. "This is the place where the Buddha is sealed, Mr. Sunday. If we release a more terrifying demon just to subdue the pig demon, we will be the sinners of the Great Tang Empire." AI. Did you hear me? I already said that I'm staying here voluntarily. The Buddha has never imprisoned me. In fact, I've been waiting for a fated person to bring 2 caddies of fruits here. Only then will I let go of the past, the Monkey King, and become anew and free me." Monkey King said honestly, but the 2 people beside him didn't believe him. At this time, Heaven's Leg Breaker's voice came from the top of the cave. "There's a lotus pond in front. This place is so desolate, but there's actually a lotus pond under the moonlight. Even an idiot would know that there's a ghost here." The Monkey King added, "That's right. This exorcist has the same opinion as me." Miss Duan said anxiously, "I'll stop them. You stay here and don't move." Then, without waiting for Chen Xuanzong's reply, she leaped out of the cave. Chen Xuanzong wanted to say something, but stopped. He wanted to reach out his hand, but he retracted it in the end. The Monkey King took out the durian he brought and split it with his hand. Instantly, a strong aroma filled the air. As he chewed on the durian, he asked, "She likes you?" Chen Xuanzong wasn't willing to answer. The Monkey King asked again, "Actually, you haven't reached the threshold yet. Although you're a monk, there's no rule that says a monk can't love a person, right? Why do you know so much?" Chen Xuanzong turned back and said, "Shouldn't demons have no attachments? Why do you know about love and hatred in the human world? If you know about love and hatred in the human world, Why did you accumulate so much hatred and obsession? If I don't know about love and hatred, why would I be obsessed, hateful, resentful, and sorrowful? The Monkey King chewed on the durian and smiled. Aren't the demons in this world human? If the fish demon wasn't unrewarded for his kindness, if the pig demon wasn't obsessed with love, if you weren't unable to get what you wanted, then what about you, Mr. Sun? Chun Xuanzang asked. Why did you become a demon? The Monkey King put down the durian and clapped his hands. All right, you want to reform me, right? Then let me tell you. I became a demon because of the victorious fighting Buddha. It was the Buddha's unwillingness that gave birth to me. And I just want to be free, to break away from those restraints that restrict my fate. You should understand this feeling very well. For example, as a Mahayana disciple, you've cut off all emotions. Yet, there's such a good woman who likes you. Don't you feel unresigned? Then, one day, the Buddha bestowed upon you a great responsibility. He wanted you to realize it, so he killed your woman. To put it nicely, he wanted you to comprehend the great love in the human world. Then, he sought a way to free yourself from all the sufferings of time. When you understood that all of this was a trick of fate, you would also become a demon. I'm different from the fish demon and pig demon. One of them is resentful, while the other is hateful. But I just want to be free. But to the Buddha, wanting freedom, resentment, and hatred are the same. They're all demons. Why? Chun Xuanzang was puzzled. However, Wukong suddenly revealed an incomparably malevolent expression. It was as if he wanted to destroy the world and possessed boundless demonic nature. Chun Xuanzang was so frightened that he crawled and rolled, escaping to a corner of the cave. Wukong laughed loudly and said, Because my freedom is bound to destroy everything. Because my freedom is built on the pain of others. Because I am destined to destroy this world. Chapter 978. At this time, Tian Zhaojiao's old voice came from above. Miss Duan, if there's nothing in front, why are you stopping us? I, Tian Zhaojiao, have always given you face. Now, I just want to go over and take a look. You won't deny me even this little bit of face, right? Miss Duan's voice was clear, and she didn't show any weakness. I don't care. Now, my sweetheart is bathing over there. Whoever dares to go over, I'll dig his eyes out. Sweetheart? Tian Zhaojiao laughed. That silly boy. He's not suitable for you. At this time, a voice with a Hunan accent suddenly interrupted them. Tian Zhaojiao, why are you wasting your time with her? If she doesn't let us go over, we'll fight our way over. Above the cave, among the rocks on the opposite side of the lotus pond, a man dressed in tight clothes and speaking in Hunan dialect was confronting Miss Duan together with an old man with white hair and beard. The old man had an iron crutch and a deformed right leg the size of a baby. They were two of the three great exorcists, the tiger-form fist and the heavenly crippling leg. The tiger-form fist was already a little impatient. He slammed the rock in front of him and pounced towards Miss Duan like a ferocious tiger. His iron claws were as hard as black iron, and a strong wind blew under his claws. A trace of claw force was released, and it scraped the rocks nearby, leaving 5 deep marks on them. It was as if the force could split a mountain. The tiger form fist was actually the 5 forms fist. It was the grandmaster of the tiger, crane, dragon, snake, and praying mantis fist techniques. These 5 fist techniques were also known as the 5 sects of Southern Fist. As for why the person who practiced them to the peak was a Hunan man from the Central Plains, it was not known to outsiders. The hinterland of the Central Plains had been the home of martial arts since ancient times. Sangzhou of Hebei was the origin of Duogai Fist and 8 Extremities Fist. Why did a northerner of the tiger form fist practice the Southern Fist? This seemed to be another mystery. Among the 5 form fists, only the tiger form was the one that he had truly grasped the essence of, now that he was displaying it to his heart's content. Not to mention a woman like Miss Duan, even Zhu Ganglai would be torn into 2 pieces. The tiger form fist wore a pair of cloth shoes. At this moment, at the tips of the shoes, 5 soft fingers protruded out, like the 5 pads of a tiger or leopard. With these 5 fingers grasping the ground, The knees slightly bent, the center of gravity of the body lowered, and the spine rose and fell like a cat. The 10 fingers grasped and released, driving the 2 arms, leg bones, shoulder blades, and using the spine as the center of gravity, rising and falling in sync with the breathing. A thunderous, snoring sound came from his chest and abdomen. It was the sound of a tiger leopard's thunder, just like the premonition of a tiger pouncing on its prey. Miss Duan was astonished to see that his eyes were almost shining like vertical slits. The amorphous flying hoop in Miss Duan's hand had already been removed. In her hand, the golden hoop trembled slightly, as if it could launch an earth-shattering attack at any time. Looking at the amorphous flying hoop, Tian Zhongjiao's eyes were slightly fearful. He said in a low voice, "Ever since your granddaughter, Miss Bai Ling, went into seclusion, the Jianghu hasn't heard of the power of the amorphous flying hoop for a long time. Miss Duan, I respect you for being a woman, but being able to make a name for yourself among the exorcists. It's fine if you retreat now. If you don't, do you think you can withstand the power of the 5 form fists and me? If you want to fight, then fight. If not, then retreat. I'm protecting this place today." Miss Duan shouted stubbornly. Tian Zhongjiao sighed. Before he could say anything, the tiger form fist had already pounced forward. In Miss Duan's eyes, the tiger form fist seemed to have really turned into a huge white-browed worm that pounced forward. A huge sharp claw converged its strength, and the soft flesh pad seemed to contain the power that was enough to smash a boulder. As soon as it touched Miss Duan, it spat it out in horror, flicked out its sharp claw, and shattered it. Miss Duan's right hand shook, and the amorphous flying hoop drew an unbelievable trajectory. Suddenly, it split into 3. One spun, accumulating a huge power as it spun, directly striking the back of the white-browed worm's head. The other had an unpredictable trajectory, aiming for the worm's face. The last one went to block Tian Zhongjiao. As the amorphous flying hoop flew, its center of gravity changed unpredictably. It could be controlled with true qi, and it could operate at will, chasing after the soul. In the blink of an eye, the white-browed worm's flesh pad collided with the amorphous flying hoop. The tiger form fist was a combination of hardness and softness, but the amorphous flying hoop was indestructible. As the spine of the worm rotated like a dragon, all the strength in its body was spat out, while the other was constantly rotating, using the principle of changing the center of gravity, accumulating a monstrous power. As soon as they met, it was earth-shattering. The tiger form fist's right hand was blocked, and Miss Duan couldn't help but take 2 big steps back. Only then did she manage to dissolve the great power. She pushed the golden hoop away and crashed into the cliff beside her. Immediately, a corner of the cliff collapsed, and a huge rock the height of 3 people broke in half and fell down. Heavenly crippling leg, his right foot stepped forward. Miss Duan felt as if there was a gigantic shadow of a leg in front of her. It carried an aura as heavy as a mountain, and the surrounding rocks all sunk by 3 inches. It was a powerful force that was almost unstoppable. Miss Duan couldn't stand still. She felt a tightness in her chest and was sent flying. The 2 great enemies in front of her took the opportunity to close in, stepping into the lotus pond. Their fists and feet met, but they had a tacit understanding. When they pressed towards Miss Duan, they used the tiger form fist and the Tian Zhongjiao together. Their auras faintly matched, making it impossible for Miss Duan to dodge. She had to make way for them. Other than retreating, there was no other way out. However, Miss Duan wasn't willing to retreat. She gritted her teeth, and the indefinite flying hoop in her hand scattered like a heavenly flower, transforming into countless golden hoop. She attacked in a way that would injure both sides. Moreover, she would be heavily injured, and the others would be lightly injured. At this moment, a flying sword flew between the 3 of them, splitting the countless golden hoop and forcing the Tian Zhongjiao and the tiger form fist to retreat. "Mr. Emptiness?" The tiger form fist was stunned at first, and then he said angrily, "What are you doing here?" Not far from a lotus pond, an elegant man in white clothes was surrounded by 4 beauties in white. He stepped on the petals that filled the sky. Gradually, he could be seen sitting in a wheelchair, and his face was slightly pale. He could only move if he was carried by the four simple and strong aunties with a simple temperament. Even a slight movement would cause him to pant and show signs of weakness. The four aunties carried Mr. Emptiness to the side of the lotus pond. Mr. Emptiness couldn't help but cough twice. "You are all outstanding exorcists. Why do you have to make a scene because of a moment of anger? Everyone, please give me some face and let this matter go." However, I would like to advise everyone that the Monkey King is the king of demons, the number one demon in thousands of years. Apart from me, who else can subdue him? For the sake of everyone's lives, please step aside. Otherwise, you will lose your lives in vain. Mr. Emptiness, you are here to stir up trouble again, the tiger form fist said. Tian Zhongjiao also laughed and said, "Since everyone is here for the Monkey King, let's find the Monkey King first. We can talk about other things later." Mr. Emptiness smiled, and a few of them turned to look at Miss Duan. However, Miss Duan braced herself and said, "There is no Monkey King here. You have come to the wrong place." Crack. Amidst the stalemate, the sudden bite attracted everyone's attention. It was crisp and juicy. The sound of a fresh and refreshing fruit being bitten open could be imagined, and it attracted everyone's attention. The few of them looked back and saw a stone in the middle of the lotus pond. Behind it was a blooming lotus, and there was a cave entrance. A man and a monkey were sitting at the cave entrance. The monkey was holding an apple and was biting it. Seeing that everyone's attention was on him, the monkey said vaguely, "You guys talk. I'll just take a look." Tian Zhongjiao pointed at the monkey and exclaimed, "Monkey King." Miss Duan revealed an anxious expression and asked Chen Xuanzong in a low voice, "Why did you bring it up here?" Chen Xuanzong said helplessly, "It came here on its own, and I can't stop it." "Even if you can't stop it, you have to. If they release the Monkey King, we will be finished." Chen Xuanzong looked at the three exorcists, and he braced himself to stand up and said, "My dear friend, which eye of yours saw that it is the Monkey King? There is no name written on its body. It is just a monkey, and you can't say that every monkey is the Monkey King, right? I feel that we should be bold in this matter and be careful in verifying it. Look, it is so down and in such a sorry state. It doesn't look like the king of demons, the Monkey King, the Monkey King. This is the monkey language interpreter that I hired on the way to the Five Fingers Mountain. Please forgive me." Chen Xuanzong's mouth was full of nonsense that no one believed, but the three great exorcists didn't even look at him. "Monkey King, I didn't expect you to be down and out like this after being sealed for 500 years. Tian Zhongjiao sneered and said, "You are the king of demons. I didn't expect that you would be down and out like this after being sealed for 500 years. Tian Zhongjiao sneered and said, "You are the king of demons." Chapter 979. A damned cripple, a half-cripple, and a mentally retarded person. Goku pointed at them one by one with his finger, shook his head, and sighed with emotion. How carefully did this generation of exorcists select the three of you to be placed in front of me? Are you trying to make me laugh to death so that you can inherit the title of Monkey King? Oh, I can understand the cripple and the mentally retarded person. Now, tell me, what is a half-cripple? Mr. Emptiness didn't react at first, but when he did, he became agitated. He panted heavily and pointed at Monkey King with a trembling voice. His finger that was pointing at Monkey King couldn't stop trembling. It could be seen how agitated he was. "You haven't seen how powerful I am." Ever since Emptiness Cripple had mastered his martial arts, no one dared to talk to him like this. He was so angry that his beard flew up. He pointed at Monkey King and said sternly, "Later, under my Emptiness Cripple, don't beg for mercy so easily. Who are you calling retarded?" Tiger Form Fist Master said angrily. Tiger Form Fist Master couldn't hold back anymore. He rubbed his palms together and was about to attack. Mr. Emptiness quickly stopped him and said, "Didn't we agree that I will go first this time? I want him to make it clear that I am not a half-cripple." He suddenly turned around and pointed at Monkey King. "If you don't make it clear today, Don't even think about leaving. Your face is pale and pale. Judging from your movements, your limbs are cold, and you are short of breath. You only move for a short while, but you're already sweating all over, and your limbs are cold. When you speak, your tongue is light and tender, and the shape of your tongue is fat and thick. Do you have soreness in your waist and knees, pain in your heels, dry mouth, thirst, and insomnia? This is a sign that your kidneys are weak, and you don't have enough yang qi. Monkey King scratched his hands and feet and explained, "To be honest, I have seen many people with weak kidneys. I, old son, have seen many people with kidney deficiency, but it's the first time I've seen someone as weak as you." Kidney deficiency is divided into yin deficiency and yang deficiency. But in your case, kidney yang, kidney yin, kidney qi, and kidney essence are all weak. There's no difference whether you have a kidney or not. You're already so weak, yet you still dare to say that you're not half crippled. In my opinion, it's just a little bit more. Mr. Emptiness asked nervously, "What's wrong?" "You are a cripple." The Monkey King sighed. "You said that my kidneys are weak." Mr. Emptiness turned around and looked at Tian Zhanjiao. "Did you tell him that?" Tian Zhanjiao was very innocent. He spread his hands and said, "No, I didn't. Don't talk nonsense. Let me tell you, I'm absolutely fine with the kidney. My kidney function has been very strong since I was young. Don't frame me. I'll sue you for slander. I'll sue you for slander." Mr. Emptiness spoke incoherently. He was flustered. A middle-aged woman beside him suddenly laughed. "Ha ha, you have kidney deficiency?" The other middle-aged woman said, "Do you still need to sprinkle the flowers? It's none of your business." "Shut up," Mr. Emptiness said agitatedly. "Kidney deficiency? You can't be afraid of treatment. Your condition should be treated as soon as possible." The Monkey King shook his head and sighed. Tian Zhanjiao asked, "Can it be cured?" Mr. Emptiness was still denying it, but his ears were secretly pricking up. The Monkey King shook his head and said, "It can't be cured. There's no cure. Prepare for the funeral. My condolences to the family." "Then why are you still talking?" The tiger form fist mocked him. This kind of conservative treatment is to try to prolong the patient's life. The Monkey King explained, "It's to give the family a process of acceptance." I've never heard that the Monkey King knows how to treat illnesses, Chen Xuanzong whispered to Miss Duan. Mr. Emptiness seemed to have grasped the last life-saving straw. He coughed a few times, and his face turned even paler. He pointed at the Monkey King and said, "Then, how can a demon like you treat illnesses? Don't you know that you, the great sage, heaven's equal, can diagnose and treat illnesses? Do I have to report to you what I know?" The Monkey King pointed at the stone cave and said, "I was the one who wrote the 6-word Great Light incantation stele." "Why?" "Because Tathagata's writing isn't as good as mine." "Did I show off?" "I didn't. During the funeral of the Gautama Buddha, I took everything from the scripture hall and memorized the Sanzang Sutra." "Did I tell anyone about it?" "I didn't." "What will you think of when you hear the name of the Monkey King? Wreaking havoc in heaven? 72 transformations, body as hard as iron, somersault cloud that can travel 108,000 miles, Dharma image of heaven and earth, and a handful of monkey hair can create millions of clones. These are just a small part of my skills. Back then, the Thunder God competed with me in lightning, and I killed it with one strike. Did I show off? I'm well-read and proficient in countless languages and dialects. I was once a disciple of the immeasurable heavenly Lord and learned physics, chemistry, mathematics, Eastern and Western philosophy. I'm proficient in advanced physics, space physics, quantum mechanics, and space-time theory. Have you heard of them? No, that's why I'm a low profile and never show off. A god of learning. You can call me Defeating the Buddha of Wits. Mr. Sun has learned the Sanzang Sutra. Chen Xuanzong was a little surprised. It's said that the Sanzang Sutra is the supreme scripture of our Mahayana sect. It was passed down by the Gautama Buddha himself, and it can resolve all the sufferings in the world. It's just propaganda. How can you believe it? The Monkey King waved his hand and said, "During the funeral of the Gautama Buddha, an extremely powerful devil plotted against him, and his golden body came back to life. At that time, I, old sun, was still an official in the celestial heavens and hadn't fallen out with the Jade Emperor because of the demolition. Thus, I was sent to the Gautama Buddha to handle this matter. During that period, I memorized the Sanzang Sutra. Have you heard of the Gautama Buddha's Dharma? The Monkey King asked. Chun Xuanzang said honestly, I haven't. I only listened to 8 or 10 of them. Back then, I was just short of a certificate, and I would have become a Buddha. It's just that I wasn't willing to take the test. It's boring to be a local establishment. The celestial heavens invited me to be the great emperor equal to heaven. That's a supreme establishment and the title of venerable emperor. I thought about it for a long time before I reluctantly agreed. The Monkey King sat on a rock with his back facing Lianhua. He crossed his legs and said in an awe-inspiring manner, looking at the 3 stunned exorcists. The Monkey King coughed and said seriously, that, half-cripple, your main problem is that you've refined a few flying swords. Flying swords are made of metal. They're also made of gung metal and yang metal. Therefore, when the gung metal is entrenched in your lungs, it'll greatly damage your liver. However, the true qi that you've cultivated forcefully supports the liver. Instead, it'll damage the gung metal in your lungs and the water in your kidneys. Because the 5 qi are stagnant, it'll be hard to clear them. Therefore, your origin will be damaged and your 5 internal organs will be empty. Among them, the damage to the kidneys is the most severe. Because the water in the kidneys is in harmony with the 5 internal organs, it'll be the most affected. The reason why I said that you're incurable is because if you don't get rid of the gung metal qi, it'll be hard to cure your illness. All other methods will only make you struggle at death's door. Mr. Sun, do you think there's any way I can save you? Mr. Emptiness sat beside the Monkey King and asked politely, if I want to get rid of your sword energy, you definitely won't agree. Halfway through his sentence, Wukong suddenly changed his words, leaving young Master Emptiness in suspense. Young Master Emptiness went forward to massage Wukong's legs and flattered him. You've even eaten the peaches of immortality from the heavenly court, and you even dared to taste Taishang Laojuan's golden pill. There must be a way, right? Unless the 5 qi's unification, which causes the qi of the 5 elements to circulate on their own, it'll be difficult. The Monkey King shook his head. Miss Duan lowered her head and thought for a while. Suddenly, she said, 5 qi's unification, doesn't that mean I'll become a deity? The Monkey King said with certainty, I'll become a deity. Chun Xuanzang asked weakly, Mr. Sun, can you let me take a look at your Sanzang, true scripture? The Monkey King looked at him for a while and shook his head. No. Can you just look at the Sanzang, true scripture? If you look at it, believe it or not, a huge palm that covers half of the Nanjian section state will appear in the sky and slap you into the cycle of reincarnation. I'm not afraid of it. If it comes down, I'll just give a discount. Can you do that? Chun Xuanzang asked doubtfully. The Sanzang true scripture can save the suffering of the world and deliver all living beings from suffering. Why would anyone stop me from bringing it to the world? I've already said that it's for publicity. Wukong sternly said, if the publicity effect is true, then my house, which claims to have 3,000 acres of orchards in all 4 seasons and 1,000 miles of beach facing the sea, can be enjoyed exclusively. The brand new Gold Coast and the prosperous atmosphere of Chang'an, 300,000 hectares of primeval forest with natural oxygen bar, 5,000 square kilometers of luxurious cave abode on the 5 Fingers Mountain. How can it be so shabby? Also, there are Yaoqi flat peaches and Jin Yuanzi's ginseng fruits. Don't look at the advertisements, look at the effects. Do you know where the Western Mount Numinous is, the place called India? I don't know. Chun Xuanzang shook his head. I've been there. It's just SOSO. It's not as good as the Tang Empire. Look at the people at the foot of the Numinous Mountain. What can the so-called Sanzang true scripture do? When it comes to delivering all living beings from suffering, I know a very professional teacher. Only his pure land of ultimate bliss is not fake. It's the real deal. Let me introduce him to you. Who is he? He lives in the Earth Extremity Blood Sea. He's called the River Styx Old Ancestor. However, He hasn't delivered all living beings from suffering for a long time. He's been handed over to a person called the future demon ancestor, Bosun's teacher, Mahesvara Buddha Lord. Just say I'm about Buddha, and you'll be able to contact my teacher. He'll introduce you to him. Teacher, son. Mr. Emptiness took the opportunity to ask, "Look at my illness." The Monkey King handed him a piece of rag and said, "Go to this address. There's someone there who can save you. Whether you can move him or not will depend on your luck." Mr. Emptiness took it and looked at it. On it was written, "Longevity, Mountain Number 1, 5th Manor, Monastery Jinyuanzi." The heaven crippling legs was dazzled by the series of changes. When he saw the Monkey King standing up and looking at him, he immediately took 2 steps back and smiled. "Monkey King, don't try to lie to me. The heaven crippling legs, will definitely take your head today and become the number 1 exorcist. The heaven crippling divine technique, right?" The Monkey King said impatiently. Chapter 980. Did you hear what they were saying? Zhuang Baifan and a group of samsara travelers stood in the ancient temple and looked at the situation from afar. He asked Ramir Khan. Ramir Khan shook his head regretfully. "I can't hear them. Someone must have sealed the aura and sound there. I just don't know if they don't want us to hear it or if it's the effect of Buddha's seal. But it seems like the Monkey King is provoking the heaven crippling leg. Can the unsealed Monkey King defeat the heaven crippling leg?" Zhuang Baifan was doubtful. "It's hard to say. We don't know how powerful it is. According to the original plot, after the Monkey King unsealed, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill the heaven crippling leg. In fact, in the original plot, no one could pose a threat to it. Mr. Emptiness should be the most powerful among the 3 exorcists. Even among the samsara travelers, he would at least be an expert who had broken through the divine gate. But when faced with the Monkey King, he would not be able to fight back, Abe No Saimai analyzed. According to our previous tests, the tiger form fist is the weakest, equivalent to a martial arts expert who has broken through the divine gate threshold. The heaven crippling leg is equivalent to an expert who has broken through the divine gate level 1. He is not inferior to us. If we take into account the spatial items and our trump cards, we have a higher chance of winning if we go all out. As for Mr. Emptiness, he is at least an expert who has broken through the divine gate level 2. Only the pretentious criminal, the magician, and immortal Hans can be his match, Abe No Saimai said seriously. In this way, when Sun Wukong was at his peak, which was the great sage, heaven's equal, he should have been a master who had broken through all 4 levels of the gate of God. According to the analysis of the Sage of Space, the golden cudgel of Sun Wukong, which had just broken the seal, was transformed from the hair of the hare. The original one should not be in his hands now. In addition, because he had been sealed for 500 years, his power was 1 level lower than when he was at his peak. After wearing the golden hoop transformed from the invincible flying ring, his demonic nature was restrained, and his strength dropped another level. Therefore, during the demon-subduing period, Sun Wukong was only at the level of 3 levels of the Gate of God, and was no match for Jinren Jiugong. Therefore, we have to seize the opportunity when the Monkey King seal is undone to restore his true form. When his demonic nature erupts, we can use the demon-revealing mirror to separate him into 2 sides, the divine nature and demonic nature. This way, his strength should be limited to the God's Gate breaking 3. Only then will we have a chance of conquering him. Abe No Haruaki smiled and said, "But for the sealed Monkey King, we really can't determine his strength. Didn't you lure these exorcists here to test the current strength of the Monkey King?" Zhuang Baifan only smiled faintly and said, "The heaven-crippling leg is not that simple." Hans the Enlightened added, "In the westward journey, the heaven-crippling leg is just a side character. In the related plot world, he is the big boss villain." The setting of the Westward Journey Exorcism chapter is deeply influenced by Hong Kong's film, television, and manga culture. In Stephen Chow's related movies, such as The Kung Fu World, there was a Buddha's palm that was on par with the heaven-crippling leg. Moreover, in the Westward Journey Exorcism chapter, there was the ultimate version of the Buddha's palm. Someone once dug deep into the hidden plot of Kung Fu and actually met a hidden plot character who had mastered the heaven-crippling divine art. Even Ah Xing, who had mastered the Buddha's palm in the Kung Fu world, was no match for the heaven-crippling divine art. The heaven-crippling divine art is even stronger than the fiery cloud, evil god. The heaven-crippling divine art, the Buddha's palm, and the fiery cloud, evil god came from a series of old wuxia novels. Liu Kanyang's Evil God series, The Disciples of the Evil God, The 8 Laws of the Buddha, and so on. Someone in the realm has always wanted to explore this series of storylines. Unfortunately, it only appeared a few times in the early history of the realm, and the information about it has already been lost. Zhuang Baifan habitually changed the topic. However, related elements have been circulating in Hong Kong's TV series, movies, and comics. This has led to many Hong Kong comic storylines appearing in them, such as the world of the Buddha's palm, the world of wind and cloud, the world of divine palm, the world of modern Buddha's palm, the world of dragon and tiger, the world of divine weapon, and the world of legend of Son of Heaven. Perhaps it's a form of respect for the Lord God. As long as there is a world with the Buddha's palm, there will be a storyline related to the heaven-crippling divine art. Therefore, there are many different versions of the heaven-crippling divine art circulating in the realm. For example, in Shu Zhongzhong, there was someone who had practiced the heaven-crippling divine art. Unfortunately, he died in a group battle before reaching the divine gate. Therefore, there's almost no data about the heaven-crippling divine art after reaching the divine gate. In other words, this heaven-crippling divine art has appeared in many storylines, and all of them are very strong. Ramilkhan summarized Zhuang Baifan's words. If we can collect the heaven-crippling divine art from those different worlds and give it to heaven-crippling divine art, he might be strengthened to a terrifying level. It's like how someone in the realm has been collecting the Buddha's palm from different worlds in an attempt to combine all the versions of the Buddha's palm and cultivate it into the ultimate Buddha's palm that is only in the imagination of those crazy martial artists. Ampi Saimai was also led astray by the topic. However, Zhuang Baifan smiled disdainfully. Don't forget that the most powerful skill that appeared in the westward journey was the Buddha's palm. According to the general pattern of the heaven-crippling divine art being on par with the Buddha's palm, perhaps it's because heaven-crippling divine art is too useless and he didn't manage to cultivate the real heaven-crippling divine art. The heaven-crippling divine art being on par with the Buddha's palm is just the ravings of those crazy martial artists. Hans clearly didn't like martial artists. He retorted, "The westward journey is a cultivation world. All the characters there are deities and demons. Martial arts and whatnot are not worth mentioning here. Don't take the clues from Hong Kong manga and use it mechanically. If you have the ability, go and say that to those lunatics who have broken the 4th level of the Gate of God." Zhuang Baifan sneered. "Stop diverting the topic." Magician shouted coldly. "They're about to fight." The dark clouds in the sky dispersed, and the moonlight shone on the lotus pond. Monkey King sat on a rock. The Lianhua behind him trembled slightly, and the moonlight dew was about to drip. Heaven-crippling divine art looked at Monkey King and smiled slyly. "Monkey King, you're sealed by the Buddha's palm. You can't leave that rock, right? That way, you won't be able to block or escape. You can only die under my heaven-crippling divine art. It'll be a tragic sight. It's a pity that your strength is sealed by the Buddha. I wonder how much of it you can use." Heaven-crippling divine art laughed. "If I kill you like this, people will say that I have an unfair advantage. Mr. Emptiness and the rest of you won't be happy either. But so what? After I kill you, I'll be the #1 exorcist." Heaven-crippling divine art laughed even louder. Monkey King scratched his ears and laughed. "There's nothing in this world that can suppress your grandpa's Sunday. You've said so much. I'm getting impatient. Since you want to reincarnate earlier, I won't keep you." Heaven's crippled feet let out a shout and leaped into the air with superb lightness skill. He flew to the mountainside of the Five-Finger Mountain, leaned his crutch against the mountain, and looked down at the group of people in the lotus pond. Then, he blew a breath of true qi toward his crippled leg. Instantly, His right leg, which was as small as a baby, swelled up. Every strand of hair was as tall as two people and as thick as a person's waist. His whole leg stepped on Five-Finger Mountain. Heaven crippling divine art laughed wildly and stomped on the ground, leaving a deep footprint in the stone pit. The hard rock of Five-Finger Mountain caved in, leaving a hole that was as deep as half a person. Chen Xuanzang and Miss Duan were dumbfounded. Tiger Form Fist hid far away and shouted, "If you don't come out, you'll be stomped into meat paste together with Monkey King. Don't blame me for not reminding you." Chen Xuanzang looked at the sole of his foot, which was bigger than the lotus pond. He measured the distance between him and Monkey King and said to Monkey King, "Mr. Sun, I'll go to the side first. I won't disturb you anymore." Monkey King said, "Sigh, don't go. Miss Duan." Miss Duan had already appeared on the cliff. She looked at Monkey King from afar and said, "Mr. Sun, don't worry about us." She even made a hand gesture to cheer him on. Monkey King turned back and saw that Mr. Emptiness had already run far away. The four aunties beside him looked at Monkey King and coughed. "Teacher Sun, I believe in you." Yukong looked at the crippled leg speechlessly and laughed crazily. The huge foot that supported the sky lifted from afar and stepped towards it. The strong wind that surged toward the lotus pond caused countless lotus leaves to fly up. Wukong faced the huge foot and got closer and closer. He sighed and said, "Back then, when the Grand Pure One transformed into Nuwa, he killed a huge turtle in the North Ocean. His four legs supported the four poles and were the pillars of heaven. Back then, when I captured the 6 monster kings of the demon race, the great rock flew for 3 days and 3 nights and still couldn't escape from my palm." Monkey King raised his hand and grabbed at the gigantic heaven-crippling divine art in the sky. "When I exhale, it becomes the monsoon. When I open my mouth, it thinks that it is the South Sea's bottomless ruins." Heaven-crippling divine art suddenly realized that the figure of Monkey King standing on the rocks suddenly became infinitely bigger in front of him. That hand also became bigger and bigger, as if it could contain a mountain. His gigantic heaven-crippling divine art was eventually smaller than the size of Monkey King's pinky finger. His entire body fell into that mountain-like hand uncontrollably. However, in the eyes of the others, heaven-crippling divine art was becoming smaller and smaller as it fell into Monkey King's palm. In the end, Monkey King just squeezed it. Smack! Who gave you the courage to play the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth in front of me? Monkey King swung his hand casually to get rid of the blurry blood stain on his palm. It was as if he was swatting a fly. He used his finger to wipe the last bit of blood from his palm. Attention Lamax 666.